What's going on, my fellow A-Plusers? Welcome back once again to a brand new episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC, television, and movie news right here on our Facebook page, A-Plus Opinions. As always, it is I, your host, Adam Perez, joined none other by my nerds of the round table. Coming through today, as always, we got Indy and Stuart. How's it going today, fellas?
Going real good.
Good to see your handsome faces. I love that background, by the way, Indy.
No, I appreciate it. I thought, why just keep it to Marvel? Why not do Marvel and DC?
Mix it up, man.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm wrapping my Star Wars shirt today since we're going to get into some John Boyega talk. What are you rocking over there, Stuart? You got your DBZ going?
Dragon Ball Z t-shirt going on here.
I like it, man. I like it. How you guys been doing this weekend, man? Things been going all right for you guys?
Yeah. I've been playing some Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. The remake just came out, and it's awesome because it's the same gameplay, but just better graphics. But they didn't try to make it more realistic or anything like that.
Good old Tony Hawk, man. I feel like you can't fail there. I know you've been rocking some Avengers indie, right? You wind up getting the game. You were playing the beta for a while, weren't you?
Yeah, playing the beta. I'm trying to get through the parts that I was in the beta. Then I'm gonna start, live streaming the parts people haven't seen over and over and over again. So yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I got a harsh but hearty review coming for that game.
Nice. I look forward to it, man. Speaking of reviews, you actually hit up Mulan. You purchased it, right? Did you get a chance to check it out?
Yeah.
What'd you think of it, man? $30? Is it worth the money?
After watching it, I think I would have paid $50.
Ooh, nice.
To be honest with you, it's that good.
I have yet to watch it, but I've been hearing some really great things about it from everybody, whether it be on Twitter or just people I follow. A really big supporter of it, have really been pushing for it, especially after watching it, talking about just how good of a movie that it certainly is. I was on the fence coming up to the past couple of weeks as to whether or not I was going to purchase it. I did talk to the girlfriend. We did decide that we were going to go ahead and get it. So I probably will be purchasing it here. Probably not this weekend, but probably sometime next week for sure, to check it out for myself. So I'm really hopeful, man. I'm really hopeful that word of mouth will continue to spread about how good it is, and that some people that maybe were on the fence are kind of like, I don't know if I want to wait till December to certainly get this for free, right? I feel like for us as a human society, we love the idea of inclusion and in being like a part of stuff, right? So if a lot of people are talking about it, it's like, man, I almost gotta see this movie now. You know what I mean?
Well, I look at it as, this is America. It's a $200 million movie. There's people that worked on that movie that need to get paid. Are you not going to let, who are you to say that they don't deserve to get paid for something that they put in production? They're taking the loss, putting it out early, because we know they're possibly not going to make that money back just off of this third out of thing, but they need to make something back so at least people can get paid for, what they did. And the entire movie looks and feels like a $200 million movie. Yes, there's no songs in it. Yes, there's no Mushu. But if you actually read the story and the lore that goes along with it, it actually fits. You know what I'm saying? That style of storytelling, better than the campy normal Disney. You know what I'm saying? Trop.
Yeah, I was gonna say it surprised me that it's only $200 million, because some of the set designs they end up building from scratch look incredible.
Yeah, they're massive.
I really hope they can use that for something else. Mulan 2 coming soon.
I mean, hey, man, as good as everybody's certainly talking about it, you certainly never know. But yeah, guys, listen, I know $30 is certainly a lot for some people, but considering all the effort and the hard work that's definitely been put into it, if you definitely want to see the movie, certainly go out and support it, man. There's a ton of people that certainly worked on it, and it feels as though your $30 certainly will go a long way. And again, once you purchase it, as long as you keep your Disney subscription, you keep it that entire time that you have your subscription available to you. So the replay value is certainly there for sure. But it looks epic. It definitely looks epic on all fronts, and it definitely seems as though Disney didn't pull any punches with that. Before we get into our live our actual topics for the day, I do want to go ahead and give some shout outs to people that are here today. We wind up having Jessica Friedman certainly coming through, and of course Anita's in here as well, and of course Alec certainly certainly joining us today as well, guys. And listen, if you guys have any questions or if you want to go ahead and further discuss any of the topics that we certainly talk about while we're discussing them, go ahead and throw your thoughts into the comment section, guys. Give us your particular opinions on these articles, or if you guys have any questions for us that you certainly would like us to answer, hopefully during the show or by the end of the show, please go ahead and submit those in as well, ladies and gentlemen. But guys, before we even get to our topics, you know, we can't get to everything throughout the week because sometimes our weeks are packed with a ton of news. So are there any honorable mentions that maybe just didn't quite make the cut this week that you guys wanted to go ahead and bring up here real quick? Let me start off with Stuart here first. Stuart, what's one of the honorable mentions, something that you saw online this week that you wanted to talk about? Your mic.
I'll tell you what I thought I saw until actually clicking on the video. IGN released, and this was yesterday, I want to say, a video that said Mandalorian Season 2 trailer. Got me super excited because, you know, IGN usually is one of the YouTube channels that'll first have like trailers uploaded. So I thought this had to be legit. Plus, it was like only 45 seconds long. So I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. They would only go for like a little teaser, honestly. So I click on it. And starts out promising, shows like the dunes from Return of the Jedi, shows the Sarlacc pit, it shows footsteps going out of the Sarlacc pit, and I'm like, oh, are they really teasing this early? And then it shows the Slave One like leaving the planet of Tatooine, and I'm like, oh my gosh, no! And then suddenly, Rickroll shows up, and you get the "Never Gonna Give You Up" song.
No, that would have pissed me off too, man. Considering the fact that we did just get ourselves a brand new like logo and stuff or release date, I could easily see how you would have thought that was an official trailer for sure. I hate when they get people like that, man.
Let me just say one last thing about it is that if it was April 1st, I wouldn't have been mad. But this was like, this is like September. It is like, okay, I don't know what the joke is that you're going for here, but all you're doing is pissing me off, IGN.
Yeah, somebody simply put that together just to ruin your day, man. That's all.
Exactly.
That's all it was. What about you, Indy? What was one of your honorable mentions that you saw this week?
We have a crabby co-host here today. Let's see. The singer Akon. He plans to build a $6 billion real life Wakanda in Senegal, in Africa.
You sent me the link to it, and I was actually reading the article. They had like a little video too of showcasing what his city's gonna look like. I didn't know Wakanda had an arena, a casino, a mall. I didn't even know. I was like, I don't know how Wakandans feel about casinos there, but
maybe it's Wakanda after they get the American influence. But they're already like a third of the way to raising the money.
That's what I read. He said it was $6 billion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Krabby
just so they know I don't have sound effects in the background.
That's funny. The designs actually look great. Did they say where they were building that at?
Senegal. They want Senegal to be. They want people to come to Africa, especially if you feel like you've been disprivileged or stood against. You know, and they want Senegal to be the first stop. They said any American or European or elsewhere in dysphoria or whatever that word is that I've never read before in my life, and you feel like you want to visit Africa, we want this to be your first stop. And knowing him, who brings light and power and water to disparaged places, you know, he's doing a lot of work, you know what I'm saying, over there in his home country. So I think it's possible with him.
Yeah, man, I'm looking really, really forward to it. I mean, I hope he manages to get the money. I mean, $6 billion is certainly no easy task whatsoever. But the fact that it seems like it's climbing, man. It's climbing whatever he's been managing to put together. What do you think about that, Stuart? The idea of Akon trying to put together a Akon city, if you will, inspired by Wakanda.
Freaking amazing. Like, I'm just excited to see how this all turns out. Yeah.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. But guys, we'll definitely keep you posted on that for sure, because I that's a pretty compelling one. A couple other things, I believe Wonder Woman announced their runtime for their movie. I think it's going to come in at like a little over 2 hours and 30 minutes, which I'm a big fan of. You know, lengthier movies, I feel like I'm a sucker for. That just means more time to hopefully give me a ton of storyline content and great character work, for sure. And especially for a film that looks as epic as Wonder Woman 1984. Bring me every minute that you certainly can of that film. I think the first Wonder Woman was about 2 hours and 30 minutes too, but I think this might be just a smidge longer for the sequel. But I'm perfectly okay with that. But fellas, you ready to get into some of our topics, man?
Oh yeah.
All right, let's get into some, guys. There's going to be some heavy hitter topics this week, ladies and gentlemen. The first one, we're just going to tackle it because of the fact that I'm rocking my Star Wars shirt. We're going to let some of this Star Wars inner nerddom out a little bit and talk about John Boyega, who's been in the news as of late, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, the guy has been getting a ton of attention here as John Boyega has been opening up a ton more, becoming very vocal in regards to Star Wars and necessarily how Disney has not only tackled and handled his character in regards to Finn, but other characters that are in fact, you know, people of color, considering like Rose's character from The Last Jedi and things like that. So this is what John Boyega has certainly been talking about. This comes to us from Screen Rant, saying John Boyega criticizes Star Wars' handling of the character in Finn. It says John Boyega criticizes the way that Finn was handled in the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Despite all grossing over $1 billion in the world box office, the 3 installments of Disney's modern trilogy proved to be divisive for various reasons. The Last Jedi was arguably the most polarizing of the bunch. The Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker faced their share of critics as well. If anything, the response to the movies proved it is possible to please all Star Wars fans, something even J.J. Abrams was well aware of when making The Rise of Skywalker. As it turns out, that applies to Star Wars actors also. Mrs. Boyega isn't afraid to publicly comment on his issues with the new Star Wars films, as evidenced by him throwing shade at The Rise of Skywalker's controversial Reylo kiss. So it does say here in an interview with GQ, John Boyega discussed Star Wars' poor handling of people of color in the films, including himself, Kelly Marie Tran, Oscar Isaac, and Naomi Ackie. He said Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver received all the nuance in their characters while the others were sidelined. Now, this is his actual quote. So this is John Boyega talking right here. He says, but what I would say to Disney is do not bring out a black character, market them to be much more important to the franchise than they are, and then have them pushed to the side. It's not good. I'll say it straight up. Like, you guys knew what to do with Daisy Ridley. You knew what to do with Adam Driver. You knew what to do with these other people. But when it comes to Kelly Marie Tran, when it comes to John Boyega, you know, F all. So what do you want me to say? What do you want? What they want you to say is, I enjoyed being a part of it. It was a great experience. Nah. I'll take that deal when it's a great experience. They gave all the nuance to Adam Driver, all the nuance to Daisy Ridley. Let's be honest. Daisy knows this. Adam knows this. Everybody knows this. I'm not exposing anything, is what John Boyega certainly had to say. Some powerful words from John Boyega. This is one of the promotional shots that we wind up seeing from The Force Awakens here of John Boyega holding a lightsaber, and really wind up getting a ton of people talking in regards to the idea of, you know, is Finn going to go ahead and become a Jedi or whatever the case may be? How big of a role is John Boyega certainly going to have when it comes to this particular movie? So yeah, John Boyega has spoke out. And before I talk on this, I do want to go to the other Star Wars fan. I know you guys are all Star Wars fans here, but I do want to tackle this with for Stuart first. I do want to know your thoughts, Stuart, in regards to John Boyega sort of pushing back and criticizing Disney in regards to this. Do you feel as though he certainly has a place to, considering how Finn's character was handled? What do you think here, Stuart?
Yeah, no, I think he definitely had every right to go off on Disney about this whole thing because yeah, I would fully agree with the way they handled him in Rise of Skywalker. It really just felt like they kind of pushed him aside and they just like they gave him a story at the end, but it wasn't really an arc and it didn't really feel like that story really built was made for his character. It felt like just a story that was there and they threw his character in there because they didn't know what else to do with him. Um, my hot take though is I do think he and Maria Tran were potentially not that I mean they were well used enough in The Last Jedi for what Rian Johnson was trying to do. I just think people, because it was like the most boring and just most like poorly written scene in the movie, I think for the most part a lot of people kind of don't fully understand what it was that they were what it was that Rian Johnson was trying to do with his character. And that's not me shitting on people who don't like what they did with his character in The Last Jedi. That's more of just because of the way The Last Jedi made that whole scene. I can totally understand why people didn't really see what he was going for. But because I did kind of feel like Force Awakens and The Last Jedi really did have a consistent arc for Finn, but then Rise of Skywalker, it just felt like all the characters that weren't Rey and Adam Driver's character or Kylo Ren, it felt like any character that wasn't them were just like there as an inconvenience, and the writers just had them in the story because they felt like they had to.
Good points, man. Good points. I definitely would agree with you there for us to to a certain extent. Like for me, when I definitely think about The Last Jedi, I certainly wish that Rian Johnson had did a little bit more with them. Again, I'm one of those people that you speak on as far as like just wasn't a big fan of just that particular story arc. I mean, I get what he was certainly trying to go for, but for me, I still just am not a big fan of it to this particular day.
Yeah.
Indy, let me ask you, man. You hear this from John Boyega. I mean, when you see something like the Star Wars sequel trilogy here, can you definitely see what he's talking about here, or do you feel as though his character was handled pretty well? What are your thoughts?
I can understand what he's talking about. Like I relate to what he's talking about. I get what he's saying, but aren't all Star Wars characters, no matter where you go to, whether it's the prequels or the originals, aren't they all treated like that? Because I mean, Leia had a pretty good, run until you get further down. You see less and less of her. She's just the sister, instead of this big, important, prominent, person. Yeah, she becomes a general later, but she wasn't even used like that in the newer movies. Her or Han, stuff just, it all ended up being all about Luke and Vader. And what was going on there. So like, yeah, I get it. I feel like it was just poorly written script. There were a lot of characters that I feel you could have embellished and went into to make the movie better. Finn's role as a character should have had something bigger to do in the end. And let's not say he didn't do a lot. I mean, he was the main reason, stuff was getting destroyed. I mean, he played a big part. He ended up being a co-general. Like he went from one way to another way, but with the keys of him being force sensitive, he got pushed into just being a Leia. He was the Leia of, the new trilogy.
I got you. Yeah, I'm gonna, for me, I'm gonna say this in regards to this. I was a really big fan of the Finn character in The Force Awakens. I personally really love the way that that J.J. Abrams really handled it. I don't know if this is necessarily like Disney purposefully doing this to people of color or anything like that. Like I don't necessarily know if that's Disney. I almost feel like this is just Disney not really knowing what they were doing for this trilogy, like as a whole. I feel like when you watch something like The Force Awakens, that movie to me is still one of the best out of this particular trilogy that we've had, but it felt like they had a plan when it comes to The Force Awakens. The way that they handled all the characters, I know people will say, it was misleading marketing by having Finn holding on to a lightsaber. For me, I don't see that as misleading marketing, because when you watch The Force Awakens, he's holding a lightsaber, right? Like, nobody's ever said that Finn was supposed to go on to become a Jedi whatsoever. I mean, we got that scene in the movie. I mean, he literally goes toe to toe with Kylo Ren. So I never felt that the marketing for The Force Awakens was wrong or showed that he was going to have a bigger role. I mean, I get the idea that, yeah, I expected Finn to have a bigger role, just maybe not necessarily along the Jedi way of things. But when I see The Force Awakens, I feel like that's the trajectory. I think J.J. Abrams and Disney did great for the launching off point. It's really when we get to The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker where things just kind of fall by the wayside. And, as much as I praise Rian Johnson, I will criticize Rian Johnson just a little bit here for The Last Jedi and not at least giving them bigger roles than what they certainly had. I mean, if he had a certain storyline in mind for them, that's certainly fine. I don't think Rian Johnson went out of his way to be like, you know what, Kelly Marie Tran and John Boyega, I'm not really going to use them. I just think he just had a storyline that, one, for me at least, just wasn't the strongest and made Finn's character feel like he was taking a backseat to everybody else. And I don't think the Disney changing up The Rise of Skywalker did John Boyega any favors at all. Because if you guys recall, when we did an APlus Hero report several months back, it might have been last year, when we focused on the episode 9 concept art and the script leaks that came out from Colin Trevorrow. If you guys recall the script leaks, John Boyega's character in Finn had a huge role. The idea of like this stormtrooper who, wind up leaving the First Order, eventually goes on in episode 9 to cause a rebellion of his own, an uprising of other ex-stormtroopers, and and gather them up to go ahead and fight against the First Order. So Finn's character significantly does grow throughout the trilogy. And I think if we had gotten that script, we may not be having this conversation, because I think John Boyega might have appreciated then how his character was certainly utilized. But considering how fans reacted to The Last Jedi, we then have a company like Disney who's very last minute I don't want to say retconning everything, but trying to change things up, trying to fix everybody's problems, and unfortunately gave us The Rise of Skywalker, was just a jumbled mess. And yet, unfortunately, another missed opportunity for the Finn character to truly get the shine that he was supposed to get. So I do put most of this on Disney, maybe a little speck on Rian Johnson. Because I do wish, I do feel as though he should have utilized Finn just a little bit better than what he did. But I'm not going to give all the crap to Rian Johnson. If anything, I feel very much like this is on Disney, because I do feel that there was potential there. I do feel like you set him up perfectly in The Force Awakens to have a huge role. And then when you get to Last Jedi, he's kind of put on the back burner a little bit, and then come into his finale, maybe not necessarily living up to what I was certainly hoping as a Star Wars fan that he certainly would have. But let me ask you guys, I mean, do you feel that when it comes to The Rise of Skywalker, that maybe there could have been potential there if they followed the episode 9 script? Or would you think that this kind of everything kind of jumped ship for this character?
Definitely going into episode 9, looking at what the script they originally had for it, if they had gone with that idea, I don't think, I fully agree. Like, I don't think this article would have even been a thing, because I feel like less people would have been mad about, his character portrayal in The Last Jedi if there was payoff in the very end. Because, there could be some like bumps in the middle of a road during like a character's arc and everything, as long as they stick the landing. And that's what they didn't do. In fact, if anything, like one thing that really annoyed me in episode 9 was how they seemed to like open up new doors with Finn without actually, doing anything with them. There's like the slight hint that he's Force sensitive. And then there's also the weird, like, kind of love interest that they hint he might have with Rey. But like literally there's no payoff or any of that. But if they had gone with the original script, with him being the one to convince other stormtroopers to lay down their weapons, that would have been great. And I think it could have really, and it would have been like a perfect, it would have been perfect because you could have still had the fun action adventure that you come to expect from Star Wars, but you could also throw in the sometimes the best way of fighting is to not fight at all type of, storyline that, people are always suckers for. So it's weird. There was a huge missed opportunity with this character in The Rise of Skywalker. I'm totally all with John Boyega and his complaints on his character being the way it was handled.
And I am glad that you brought that up. The fact that he did have like the idea of even when you look at Rise of Skywalker, all these new avenues that were opened up and then just never rewarded for at the end of the day. Let me ask you, Indy, do you think that this is an issue of, the idea of like just the usage of people of color not necessarily being utilized well? Do you think it's a case of that, or do you think it's just a case of that Disney just didn't know what it was going to do? Do you think it was the idea of Disney not having an idea what it wanted to do with these characters and its story, or do you think it is the way that Disney just handles people of color in general in regards to these characters?
I think it was a thing where characters who were not supposed to be popular were getting more popular than the characters that they wanted at the forefront. Because what they were pushing with Rise of Skywalker was, women can be Jedi too, which I'm 110% in full support of. But this reminds me of like a WWE thing. Disney is starting to feel like Vince McMahon to me. Like, you see who the crowd is championing, but yet you want to push another, character down our throats instead of just naturally going with who the fans are going to. You know what I'm saying? And then you want to cut the person who is popular off by the legs by not giving them much screen time, by maybe not putting them in the championship match, and taking that away from them. So I definitely understand where John was at, but I understand what Disney was trying to do with their marketing too, because if you look at Star Wars before, one of the complaints they had about it is there hasn't been a prominent female character. There was nobody that women felt they could champion other than like a Leia. But really, what was Leia, other than the hero's sister, the villain's daughter. So I understand what they were trying to do with Rey, but Finn and others had so much traction behind them, that you really have to pay attention to where the wave is going if you want to be successful. You could have made Rey who she was supposed to be. At the same time, you could have gave us a little bit more with Finn and others. You could have used it to humanize Rey, because that's one of the things I felt like they didn't do right. They did a lot of things right with Rey, but they didn't humanize her, make me feel like she was a person. I always felt like she was just this thing, this power waiting to be unlocked. Like she was never. They didn't do with her what they did with Kylo Ren. They humanized Kylo Ren quickly in this series. Like, you knew he had problems. You knew he could be. You understood his anger with what was going on, or why he could be pushed to the dark side like he was, because you understand jealousy, you understand being scared, you understand all these things, understanding who your grandfather is and wanting to live up to that legacy. Like as a human being, you can understand that. You really couldn't relate to the position Rey was in. You know what I'm saying? Unless maybe you were like an orphan, or like you had them specific situation she was in. But yeah, I just think Disney missed the ball with that one, and with a company that needs male heroes, because you need to sell to boys. You need more than just Marvel. You know what I'm saying? They always struggled with selling to boys. They missed again. Well, a great chance with Finn and others to create these characters that boys can be like, yeah, you be Rey, I'll be Finn. But instead you be Rey, I'll be Darth Vader. You be Rey, I'll be Luke. You know what I'm saying? There's nobody from this new trilogy that I see young man wanting to be like or wanting to be.
Yeah, I definitely do feel that they certainly dropped the ball here for sure. I mean, and you're right. I mean, when you, at least when it comes to like the Rey and Kylo stuff, I mean, I feel like if there was any really strong aspect of the Star Wars sequel that came out of this, as far as storyline wise, it definitely was the Rey and Kylo Ren stuff. So I can definitely see why that would certainly become one of their main focuses. But I guess just for me, just the idea of planning this out, having your storyline beats where there certainly should be. I think the idea of like trying to tell the story by the seat of your pants each time, I think, and then realizing that, yeah, the main storyline that is gaining a lot of traction is the Rey and Kylo stuff. I can see how when you're trying to write this trilogy and you don't have any plans, you want to focus on the things that are making you money, and that stuff was the Rey and Kylo stuff. So I can see the idea of them pushing that forward. And unfortunately, other characters like Kelly Moran Trans and John Boyega's characters kind of getting pushed to the back burner. So a little bit disappointing, man. A little bit disappointing. But for me, I feel like this just continues to showcase just how poorly this trilogy itself was actually planned out. Because I think if it had been planned out, I think a lot of these characters would have had much better focus, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I totally agree with you 100%.
But hey guys, we want to know your thoughts here. Now that you've heard John Boyega speak out in regards to that, what are your thoughts in regards to that? Do you feel as though they certainly utilized his character extremely well? Do you wish that they had given him more screen time? Certainly go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. And with that,
spin-off show.
Yeah, listen, that's I honestly wouldn't mind like maybe give me like a Finn and Poe a little television series, little spin-off. I might take something like that. I really love what they did with Oscar. I thought Oscar Isaac's character in Poe was handled relatively well. I mean, they gave him a ton of shine, especially in The Last Jedi, being alongside of Carrie Fisher as Leia and things like that, really grooming him to kind of be that next general, sort of in her place, if you will. I just, I don't want to put. I just see, when I go online, I just see a lot of people really throwing a lot of shade and hate at Rian Johnson, kind of blaming him for the departure of his characters. And while I know John Boyega has come out and talked about the idea of him not being the biggest fan of his own personal role when it comes to The Last Jedi, again, to me, I feel like you could have easily rebounded the Finn character in The Rise of Skywalker had you kept along with your initial plans for the trilogy. So again, I get the departure of Finn's character in The Last Jedi. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I do feel as though that maybe helped put it in that trajectory of going downhill a little bit, but I'm not going to give him full blame for it, because I do feel as though Disney should have been professional and creative enough to be able to rebound for a Finn character like that in an episode 9 script. And unfortunately, we're not able to. So I put it mostly on Disney.
What I was looking for from Poe and Finn's character is disagreement. They've always seemed to agree. I wanted to see them, as close as they were, go apart with different ideologies on how to handle things. You know what I'm saying? How the way Poe handled things, always getting in trouble. Maybe Finn looked at things differently and like, hey, maybe they're right and you need to calm. You know what I'm saying? They had a disagreement and come back together. Even a little arc like that between those two, especially with all the shine Poe got, would have been better for the character of Finn.
Yeah, the only moment that I can think of that I recall that happening is in episode 9 when Finn gets in his face, gets into Poe's face, because Poe is questioning him about his relationship with Rey. Like, oh, you can tell Rey, but you can't tell me, or she goes off on these, on this adventure, and you have her back, but you don't see my point of view. Like, I have seen just that very briefly, but and again, that's at the end of the trilogy. You know what I mean? So I definitely get you, and I don't think it helped the idea that a lot of these characters were separated for so long in this trilogy as much as they were. But I think if you're Disney, though, you should be able to have better writers to be able to kind of make that work for you.
And again, in that situation, it had to involve Rey.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying. But guys, again, definitely let us know your thoughts in regards to how Disney wind up handling John Boyega and everybody else. So, but guys, let's go ahead and jump into our next topic here. We're gonna go ahead continue along with the heavy stuff here, man. Listen, we are what is this like 1 week separated, unfortunately, from the passing of Chadwick Boseman. This has been something that's been heavy on a lot of people's hearts. I feel like all since last week for sure. Everybody's still trying to handle it as best as they certainly can. But one company is clearly still trying to handle it and struggling a lot more than we probably thought that they would. And this is, in fact, Marvel, ladies and gentlemen. This next report actually comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter. I'm just messing this all up today, guys. Hold on a second here. This one comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter here, letting us know that Disney is in fact grappling with how to proceed on Black Panther without Chadwick Boseman. And guys, you know, when we talked about this story last week, you know, one of the things that I said off the top was I would be surprised if Disney did not know about this. Like the idea of keeping something like colon cancer for the past 4 years secretive and to yourself and not have anybody really around know what's going on with you, especially making a big budget film like that. A part of me thought there's no way that Disney did not know about this, but they say outside of his family, only a small group of insiders was aware of the Marvel star battling with cancer. And now studios executives are grieving and figuring out how to go forward. This says on August 28th, literally like just recently, Marvel executive Kevin Feige received an urgent email regarding Chadwick Boseman with no further information. Unbeknownst to anyone at the studio, the Black Panther star had been battling colon cancer privately for 4+ years and had taken a sudden turn for the worse. By the time Kevin Feige read the message an hour later, Chadwick Boseman had already passed, sending shockwaves through Disney and his tight-knit Marvel Cinematic Universe. A source close to Boseman tells the Hollywood Reporter that the 43-year-old actor, who had become noticeably thin in recent months, was convinced. He was convinced until about a week before his death that he was going to beat cancer and that he would gain his weight back for Black Panther's sequel that was scheduled to go into production this upcoming March. The actor was even set to prepare for a new film beginning in September. So it says now the studio is processing the grief of losing a loved one. It also says that furthermore, his death will ripple across the cinematic film universe, given that Black Panther's character was poised to appear in other connected films, as Boseman already had done in Civil War, Infinity War, and in Endgame. It does say here that Disney sources say that the company is processing its grief, and its focus is to, at this stage, is to pay tribute to Boseman and not necessarily in making Black Panther's sequel at this time, at least. It says only a handful of non-family members knew that he was sick. So yeah, guys. I'm trying to see if there was anything else in here, but it says whatever direction Disney takes, the loss of Boseman to the franchise is immeasurable. As Coogler wrote in his remembrance of the star, I spent the last year prepping, imagining, and writing words for him to say that we weren't destined to see. It leaves me broken knowing that I won't be able to watch another close-up of him in the monitor again or walk up to him and ask for another take. So guys, this kind of floors me. I can't lie to you. You know, for me, in the sense of, dang it, Adam, I gotta get this right. Sorry, guys. In a sense of, like, for me, one, I'm really surprised that he wouldn't share that with him, with Disney. But I also can respect the man's privacy, right? Like, that is your health. I get the idea that you certainly don't want to necessarily put that out there. It's not anybody's business outside of your own, to be quite honest with you. So I get it. I would just think that when a company is pouring that much money into you and producing a film like this, that maybe they have a right to kind of know. I don't know. I don't know. I guess that just depends on your particular stance in regards to that. But again, it is his health, so I get the idea of wanting to keep it secret. But damn, it certainly had me fooled, because I would have honestly thought that Disney might have at least have kept it tight-lipped. Like, I honestly would have thought that if he had come to Kevin Feige and had told Kevin Feige that Kevin Feige, I feel like, considering the guy that Kevin Feige is, he probably would have kept his mouth shut and continued along with this path. But again, I do think it's the idea of, I don't want to say pride, but your own privacy, the idea of knowing what you're going through. You don't want anybody else to know. You want to continue to strive and push forward. The worry that maybe if other people did know, maybe they now don't want you for these roles. Maybe now they don't think that you're capable, or will look down on you a little bit less. You know what I mean? Like, just kind of protecting him more than they certainly should. So I can see the different sides of things in regards to this. But let me ask you, Indy, are you surprised that Disney did not know about this? Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. And where do you think Disney certainly goes from here when it comes to Chadwick's character as T'Challa?
Okay. Not in the least. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. Whether it was protecting his assets, I can. All right. I'm trying to put myself in his shoes, which I can't, because I've never battled anything like that. I've had family members that have, and been in certain situations. I'm thinking he doesn't let anybody know, because if he asked them not to say anything, you know what I'm saying, or to keep that close, if something comes out later, it could be something with Disney or Marvel striking back against the person. Oh, you knew. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is because I'm pretty sure in a contract you're supposed to disclose something like that. So he was probably just betting on getting better, since he was told that he was going to get better. I mean, fighting this for 4 years is probably something where he has bad times and he always bounces back, and finally his body just said, no, we can't do this anymore. So that's totally understandable in that aspect. It could be another thing where this thing that's been going on, we just talked about with John Boyega, could be a little deeper than what we thought. You know what I'm saying? And it could have been Chadwick just protecting himself, you know what I'm saying, or protecting other movies that he signed on to. Because you tell somebody something like that's going on, and you got a couple of movie deals on the table, maybe you haven't cemented and signed on the dotted line, they're definitely going to go a different way. And it could be roles that he really wanted, you know what I'm saying, to do, because he's been doing very prominent, you know what I'm saying. His filmography is Black culture when it comes down to it. As far as King T'Challa can never be replaced. You know what I'm saying? And as much as people hate to say this might be my unpopular opinion, what's going on. The character T'Challa can't be replaced. Black Panther is a mantle. There's already been 2 people on screen that have held that mantle already. That mantle can be handed down to anybody. And for Disney, this might be the best thing in the world to happen to them, because whatever they do with the next Black Panther movie, it is going to be widely supported, just because they're going to be looking at who is taking the mantle, you know what I'm saying, from Chadwick Boseman, and what are they going to do with it. Like, they got another $1 billion movie I'm dang near in the first week, just from what just happened. So as much and as bad as they say they feel, man, they're in the back licking their chops, because they know what they got right now, just because publicity, because any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, I mean, and you definitely bring up a good point in regards to just the idea of the mantle of the Black Panther now being out there with it. I'm assuming, I know a lot of people, there definitely has been a huge outcry, I feel like, especially online, for to not replace T'Challa, to just have that's Chadwick Boseman's legacy. You know what I mean? There's nobody else that can really replace that character. So I definitely don't see them replacing it. I feel like Marvel probably has that one in the back. I mean, who knows? We'll certainly see what happens here. So let me ask you, Stuart, here. Who do you pass that mantle on going forward? The mantle of Black Panther, if you had your suggestions. And also, does this surprise you as well that nobody at Marvel knew about this particular situation? And what do you think what do you think that means for Marvel going forward?
Definitely decently surprised that no one at Marvel knew about this. Not because like him keeping it a secret was a surprise, but just because with how like hard it is to keep secrets if you're a celebrity, I feel like it's so easy for everything to come out. And in fact, there were suspicions about it. Like I remember a few months ago because of like some photos of him that got leaked where it was showing like how much weight he had lost. But I think most people just kind of put that aside and thought, well, he's an actor. Actors do that all the time, like Christian Bale, for example. As for like who should be the next Black Panther in the Marvel movies, I feel like the most obvious choice to go with would be his younger sister. It would definitely make the most amount of sense. And you could also get like kind of a really good story out of it because she definitely does not seem to be interested at all in ruling Wakanda. So it could be like one of those kind of Aquaman type storylines where someone who, you know, she felt like she wasn't meant to be a queen, but like, you know, she has to take up that role because, you know, no one else is going to do it. You know, so I feel like there's definitely a good story to be had there. But, and this is going to be kind of my hot take, I do think if Disney waits before releasing Black Panther 2, like and I don't mean like 5 years, I mean like if they decide to really wait on Black Panther 2 for like another 7 years, I don't think, as long as they do it in a respectful manner, I don't think people would be mad if they replaced the actor for T'Challa. If they kept T'Challa in, but just like, you know, had him played by a new actor. But obviously, if they went with the original schedule for Black Panther 2 and it still came out when it was originally planned, yeah, no, people would not be okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really hoping that we don't have like a 7-year wait for another Black Panther movie. If anything, I mean, maybe they wind up changing its placement, you know, in there. I feel like you know, unfortunately with the passing here of Chadwick, you know, just even from the article saying that considering how big of a role Black Panther was supposed to play going forward in the upcoming phases, you know, I don't know if they were ever going to hint at the idea of like the Illuminati or whatever case may be. But you know that T'Challa always really has a big presence when it comes to these kind of big epic films, if you will. So, you know, now the idea of him passing, how much of that writing now has to change for that character? Doesn't necessarily have to change. I mean, can you easily plug somebody like a Shuri in there and not necessarily bat an eye? I think the fact that Ryan Coogler has already been writing for him probably is going to have them now have to go back and sort of rework that script. So I wouldn't be surprised if, yeah, that winds up knocking Black Panther's sequel off its original release date. I mean, goodness, we're still dealing with COVID as it is, to kind of move things around already that we have to deal with. So I would not be surprised if Black Panther 2 does get pushed back a little bit more, because I can easily see Disney now having to kind of go through all their scripts, anything that Black Panther's attached to, and now kind of rewrite and kind of rework once again. But yeah, I'm a big supporter of the idea of Shuri picking up the mantle. I will be okay with whoever they certainly decide, but I feel like that's just a natural progression. Because Andy, correct me if I'm wrong, in the comic books, doesn't Shuri become Black Panther at one particular point in time?
She takes the mantle of Black Panther after something happens to T'Challa and he's not able to, you know what I'm saying, do his duties. Like I believe he has his powers stripped away, and she ends up taking up the mantle. So yeah, it will go along with comic lore, but I'm like, you just had the first movie, right? And you saw how incredible the dynamic was between Killmonger and T'Challa, right? Perfect protagonist. Who was he a villain? Wasn't he a villain? He was a villain because of the actions he was taking in order to try to bring apart the society that he wanted to be there. The actions he took made him a villain, even though his morals might have been, you know what I'm saying, in the right place. Man, they have so much that they could play with. We already been shown that you don't have to be king to be Black Panther. While his father was still on the throne, T'Challa was the Black Panther. You know what I'm saying? And then he became king after his father died. So necessarily, Shuri doesn't have to be queen. Shuri doesn't have to be queen. Have they ever had a queen on the throne is another, you know what I'm saying, storyline they could tell, or has it been nothing but kings? Does it default to her mother, and then she has to go prove herself that she's able to be upon the throne? An interesting aspect that I took that I thought would be great writing for them to go ahead and try to move along the process, some other stuff, because losing T'Challa is a big deal. Bring in Aurora and let her be the villain against Shuri, standing for her people. You know what I'm saying? Who look at her as a god, that she wants to come take that throne. You know what I'm saying? She wants to come take that mantle.
I do like that.
You know what I'm saying? And introduce her not as Storm, you know what I'm saying, but as Aurora Monroe. And let Shuri have to, if Shuri overcomes a threat as of that, or can even, you know what I'm saying, with her, I see her using her mind to show Aurora her the ways, you know what I'm saying, there's a better way to do this. Let me help you, you know what I'm saying, and that type of thing. You have no choice but to look at the candidate she could be for being Black Panther or a queen, overcoming something like that.
You know, man, you just broke my heart. Just the idea of realizing I'm not gonna get an Aurora and T'Challa moment, man, on screen, dude. I would have loved to have seen those two together.
How did or watch his ex interact with his new girlfriend?
just something, man, just something. Yeah, I mean, look, I feel like the possibilities are definitely endless. I feel like I feel like this does open up opportunities for them to be able to change direction if they wanted to. I mean, just us seeing the struggle that T'Challa had to deal with of accepting the throne and being comfortable with him representing Wakanda and being their king, like just the struggles of him having to live up to sort of his father's legacy, if you will, before he wind up finding out everything that happened truly in the past with his, you know, with his family and Killmonger and stuff. I feel like maybe that could be like a running theme for Black Panther, is the understand like the worthiness of that throne, right? Like each person that picks up that particular mantle or whoever gains that throne, their main storyline being the idea of, can they fill the shoes of the person that sort of came before them? I mean, we saw what that relationship was like between Shuri and T'Challa and how close they were, right? Like if there is anybody that would really mourn the loss of somebody, I can see Shuri just mourning the loss of her brother and really kind of pushing Shuri into that role of can I represent Wakanda the way that my brother certainly did. I think there's a big opportunity there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Shuri was Americanized, like she was big on American culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is if they decide to write T'Challa off, like maybe he got assassinated, right? Or maybe somebody tried to overthrow him and he didn't make it through, depending on how they want to write what goes up. They could just do that and just say it happened. You know what I'm saying? I had Shuri dealing with that. What if Shuri, because this is what I wanted Shuri to be. I really wanted her to be Ironheart. Just forget Riri, let Shuri do it, because she has that intelligence and everything. She's already supposed to be the smartest person in the MCU until Reed Richards comes along. You know what I'm saying? I wanted her to admire what Tony Stark did in order to save everybody, the sacrifice that he made. You know what I'm saying? In a hero, she got to see her brother. She got to see Tony Stark, and to take you know what I'm saying, to take on that mantle of Ironheart. They can twist that and just have it be that she decides to take on the mantle of the Black Panther. You know what I'm saying? Instead, you know what I'm saying? She has all these representations of what a hero is. You know, whether it's Cap, she's been through all of that. And she has to choose the mantle she wants to take. You know what I'm saying? Could be pretty dope too.
I kind of like that idea. The idea of like, hey, which route are you going to go? Right? Like you got these opportunities in front of you. I do like that idea. I do like that.
They could, like, if since the MCU's been around long enough, and if they want to kind of create their own original superhero type characters, they could have her do a really cool like mixture of both, where she does become the next Black Panther, but because if I remember correctly, at the end of the movie, there's no more of the special flower that gives you the
they all
power.
got burned.
Yeah, she has to rely solely on technology to create the next Black Panther uniform.
All right. I hope Marvel's paying attention. Ryan Coogler, if you need some ideas for some scripts, man, I'm really loving some of these concepts that you guys are coming up with. Yeah, even Jennifer says she loves that idea. I'm kind of digging that idea, man. Listen, Disney definitely has its hands full here. I mean, I will say this, considering the fact of how much everything has been pushed back with the pandemic, I feel like Disney at least has to be grateful for the time that it's being given. The idea that not that things are still, while things are certainly still moving behind the scenes, I feel like there's got to be at least some cushion for them to know that, you know, we at least have this opportunity now that if we need to make some changes, we certainly can behind the scenes. I will just be interested to see just how big and how vast these changes really are now to everything that they have planned, for sure, because I easily expect Kevin Feige and them to be rummaging through their brains for some ideas right now.
They can't mess this up, because I'm be honest with you, I forgot about Black Widow, and you're running out of time for these Disney Plus shows. I'm starting to lose interest. So like DC's making a move, and everything they're doing is looking pretty good right now. So if Black Widow, if that Snyder cut hits before Black Widow hits, you're gonna have a problem.
No, I'm still crossing my fingers that we get Black Widow here relatively soon, at least by the end of the year, for sure. I think it's set for November right now, but we'll see what happens. You know, even the television series, we're not even sure if we're going to get them before December or not. But again, I will say this: as much as like fans as we're saying, where are you at, Marvel? Where are you at, Marvel? I feel like all this time probably does benefit them a little bit. I mean, the idea of knowing that you don't necessarily have to rush right into production right away. I mean, granted, you certainly do, right? Because there are some things you've promised fans that we're supposed to be getting. But as far as like the later half of these phases and stuff, considering the fact that maybe a production for some of these later movies would have already been in production had COVID not hit, maybe this does give them now that opportunity to really sit down and reformat their next couple of phases here with storytelling, considering how everything has really changed their production for them. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Marvel, man, but I'm hoping that they're taking this time to at least shape everything to perfection, if you will.
Can I ask you guys a question before we transition to the next story? Like,
yeah.
Honestly. Mm-hmm. All right. We contemplated $30 for Mulan, right? For $30 for early access to Mulan. I don't think you contemplate $30 for Black Widow. I think you just
no. I feel like when I put that on Twitter, I put one question of, would you pay $30 for Mulan? I got a bunch of no's. When I did, would you pay $30 for Black Widow? Majorities were yes. And so I think it's really just the movie selection that they wind up putting out there. So yeah, I feel like more people would definitely be willing to pay $30 for Black Widow for sure.
Hey, I was just saying, because I'd have pre-ordered. So like
you've been already ahead of the game.
Yeah, like let's go, man. Let's go.
I like it. He's like, just put that money down already. But hey, guys, listen, at the end of the day, we definitely want to know your thoughts in regards to this. Now that you've heard some of the struggles that Disney is having to deal with, are you guys surprised that Disney certainly did not know? What are your thoughts for Disney proceeding forward with the Black Panther? What are some of your ideas? We definitely want to know your opinion. So go ahead and let us know your thoughts in the comment section box. Jennifer says, I've been waiting for Black Widow for years. Yeah, a ton of people have been wanting this Black Widow movie, man. Hopefully it winds up coming back. Marvin says, what's up, Marvin? Appreciate you coming through. He says, take the time to bring in the X-Men and Fantastic Four. Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm definitely in no rush. You know, if they were going to drop anybody early, though, I can easily see that being Aurora. Now, whether or not you mentioned the idea of mutants when she winds up debuting, who certainly knows? But I am on the fence of the idea of let's take our time with Fantastic Four and X-Men if we can afford it. If we can definitely afford it, so we'll definitely see there. But let's go ahead and move on to our next topic, guys. We're going to go ahead and continue to stay here into the MCU as we dive into yet another MCU movie that for me, I wasn't the biggest fan of hearing this particular announcement when it was announced for an Ant-Man 3. But I will say this new news that's coming out for Ant-Man 3 does have me kind of curious. This is actually going to come to us from Collider.com, if I'm not mistaken, letting us know that Peyton Reed lets us know that Ant-Man 3 will be bigger and more sprawling. So it does say it says it's been over a year since the Avengers defeated Thanos, which is even crazy to contemplate, to be honest with you. It says the ultimate galactic threat, but that doesn't mean we're going to stop getting new Marvel movies anytime soon. In addition to the upcoming films like Black Widow, Eternals, Doctor Strange, production is underway on a third Ant-Man film featuring global treasure Paul Rudd as the main character. It says series director Peyton Reed offered an update on the sequel during an interview, and this is what he says. He says, "We're working a way through the pandemic. There's some really, really, really exciting things in store, none of which, of course, I can speak to you about right now, as is in the Marvel way. But I think the third Ant-Man movie is going to be much bigger and more sprawling than the first two. It's going to have a very different visual template." So things are getting bigger, guys, not smaller when it comes to Ant-Man 3. And I'm going to be honest with you, I love the sound of this. I love the sound of this. While I personally love the format of the very small Ant-Man movie that we wind up getting with Paul Rudd, I thought it was perfect for what it certainly wanted to be, hitting that comedic tone, but yet still giving us that type of film on a smaller epic level to kind of fit into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I thought they did a really great job of making the Ant-Man certainly its own character, feeling its own, and placing it in here. When it comes to something like Ant-Man and the Wasp, though, while I loved Evangeline Lilly's take on the character, the action I thought was pretty great, I wanted more. I wanted bigger. Granted, we did get bigger. We did see Goliath. We did see Giant Man, if I'm not mistaken, also. But I really wanted to feel more epic and a bigger scope than certainly what it was. But unfortunately for me, the sequel for Ant-Man just kind of fell by the wayside. It's one of my least favorite of the Marvel films. Quite boring to me, to be honest with you also. Nothing really stands out to me about that particular movie, with the exception of the only reason why I watched that movie is for the end credit scene and to see how it fits and ties into Infinity War and the overall story arc for Ant-Man. So not the biggest fan of the second part. And when they announced part 3, I was even more bummed at the idea that we're still bringing back Peyton Reed, the director, who just did a poor job, I thought, personally, for Ant-Man and the Wasp. But I was a little bit surprised that they even decided to go ahead and bring him back in the first place. But the fact that now they're talking about this one being bigger, more sprawling, I'm almost expecting like an international sort of, maybe not like an international escapade with him and the Wasp, but I definitely would love to see um just more of what these two can certainly do on a bigger scale. I'm not necessarily saying like, hey, can we get like these cool James Bond sort of moments, these cool cars and really cool locations. No, I don't necessarily need to see all that, but I want their mission to be bigger. I want their purpose to be a little bit bigger and not just on such of a small scale. Now that we've had movies like Infinity War and Endgame, I really want to see what Scott and Hope can certainly do together as a team, because they even mentioned, I believe in an article on Yahoo, they did an interview, I believe, saying that Evangeline Lilly and Paul Rudd were going to have equal billing on the next movie. So I definitely expect both of those characters to truly be a pair and truly be a part of that film together. So give me different settings, give me a bigger sort of feel. Like, while I get the idea that Ant-Man certainly made its money on being smaller, this sort of neighborhood sort of character, if you will, then being thrusted into this big adventure. Now that he's a part of the Avengers, I want to see him go on these bigger missions, if you will, bigger and sprawling, as Peyton Reed winds up saying. So yeah, bring it on. This gets me excited when I certainly wasn't for another movie. Now they definitely do have my attention. I'm still worried because it's Peyton Reed, but if this is what he's telling me that we're going to be getting, I definitely will be paying closer attention here for sure. So Let me come to you, Indy. You hear the idea that Ant-Man and the Wasp 2 or 3, I guess you can say 3, is certainly going to be bigger, more sprawling. It's going to have a different visual template. What do you think that certainly means from Peyton Reed? And does that idea at least get you excited for what Ant-Man and the Wasp could certainly have for us?
It's just the fact that they're keeping the two together and making it like a team, you know what I'm saying, hero thing for me is definitely dope, because I feel like it lets you put more stakes if it's two heroes rather than, you know what I'm saying, one. I would love to see more expansion in the quantum realm. I would love to see them on a bigger, you know what I'm saying, set. I'd love to see them getting missions from Nick Fury, or you know what I'm saying, actually being like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Agents of S.W.O.R.D. and completing missions just like her dad and her mom, you know what I'm saying, did before them. Yeah. That'd be really interesting to me. They can't stay on the same small scale after he was used the way he was in Infinity War and Endgame.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? He's stepped up to a different level of hero. So you can't stay doing the same small scale stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I've been a huge fan of the Ant-Man. I was a fan of Ant-Man and the Wasp. I was a fan of Ant-Man itself. When we did our movie ratings, those were higher than some of the Iron Man flicks. You know what I'm saying? For me, they were well done for what they had to do in being honestly the connective glue in the situation on what was going to be Infinity War and Endgame. Without Ant-Man, none of that happens. So I'm all for it. This is probably my third most anticipated film coming out of the current like slate. You know, like it is Doctor Strange for me. It's Doctor Strange, it's the Eternals, and it's Ant-Man and the Wasp 2 or 3 or whatever they're gonna call it.
Yeah, I was like, is this gonna be Ant-Man and the Wasp 2, or how are they gonna go about doing this? We'll definitely see.
It's gonna be Ant-Man 3 with the subtitle Ant-Man and the Wasp 2.
Oh god, yeah. Way too many numbers. I love it though.
I like to play on that. Ant-Man 3 and the Wasp.
And the Wasp too, yeah. And the Wasp too. I like, hey, maybe they do that. I like that. Stuart, let me go to you, man. When you hear these words from Peyton Reed talking about the direction here for Ant-Man 3, if you will, what are your thoughts? Does it give you hope that we're going to get something that they're really pushing the envelope here?
I'm going to almost be repeating exactly what Indy said here. I really hope they go for a aspect of it where they're working with S.W.O.R.D. now, because now that they've established S.W.O.R.D., I think that would be really cool, especially because we know that Hank used to work for S.H.I.E.L.D. back in the day. So it would make perfect sense for Nick Fury to, want to go to them for help for like whatever the next really big threat might happen to be. And it'd be a really cool way to also probably hint at Secret Wars to put in the seeds there if they keep the scrolls around like they had in Spider-Man Far From Home. But on top of all of that, I do think it would be a cool opportunity to maybe look into Hank's past, because one thing that was kind of hinted at in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I really hope they do some payoff for this, is they seem to be going for the more comic book accurate Hank Pym, who probably am going to piss off some comic book fans here, is an asshole. He's a terrible person. So I would love it, because Ant-Man and the Wasp 2 kind of hinted at that with Goliath. He was mentioning that he and Hank had a really, bad past together. And then just the way Hank immediately tried to deny it all as soon as they got out of that building. It's like, oh, by the way, guys, he's full of crap. I'm not a bad person. It seemed like total crap the way he was like trying to say it like really fast, just right then and there. So I feel like he might have a dark past like within the MCU as well, and I feel like that would be so cool to explore in Ant-Man 3.
Yeah, I do like that idea of where they could certainly go with Hank Pym's character. That was one of the downsides too, like when they did first explain how these characters were going to be adapted when they first came up with the first Ant-Man. Part of me was a little bit bummed that we didn't get like that Hank Pym that originally created Ultron, or had sort of that disturbing sort of mental psycho side to him, if you will.
Or
Like,
did he?
I mean, maybe he did, right? But they just they like that would be great, like if they explored even more of his past and to really show you, like, maybe he wind up sort of creating the template of things like this, you know. Like I really would love to kind of see that explored a little bit more. So it definitely seems like we're all on the same page, really looking forward to seeing what they could potentially do here. And you know what, I would agree with you too, Indy, the idea of like, I really want to see what she says, as long as it still has Luis, you can't go wrong. Absolutely. Absolutely. If Luis wants to give me a recap on what happened in Ant-Man 1 and in Ant-Man 2 before we get into it, I'll take a great little
I want him to recap Endgame.
No, even if that's like the only time he's in the movie, just what's happened before then, like Endgame, just saying how awesome Ant-Man is, and that he was the only reason that he took the glove off of Thanos and gave it to Tony Stark, allowing Tony Stark to be able to snap. And he could have saved Tony Stark, but Tony Stark went, no, that I want to sacrifice myself for the world. And then Ant-Man called him selfish. And like, I could just see like this whole embellishment of things going on, man. Yeah. A movie in its own.
Best part, we get flashbacks to Endgame and Infinity War, actual clips, but they kind of CG the lips of like whoever's talking to have it fit Lewis's dialogue. So you just see like a remake of the exact same scene where it's like Tony Stark with the glove, and you just see Lewis being like, but he's like, no, screw you, Ant-Man, I'm the hero here. I am Iron Man. I would love to see that. Like, that's all Tony Stark and Thanos, but with Lewis's voice.
That's all I need. Oh my god, that's all I need. I just need Luis to be in this movie. That's all I need. I'll be perfectly happy with that there. But I do like the idea that you came up with, Indy, of like seeing similar to how we had Ant-Man and the Wasp back in the day working for S.H.I.E.L.D. together on missions. That's definitely what I would love to see, just on a bigger scale here for the next one. I really want to see, now that they're Avengers, their teams, I gotta assume that they're being sent on much bigger missions and things like that, that maybe they're only capable of doing together as a team. Yeah, give me big and bombastic with these two, man. I really want to see what these two can kind of do, very similar to what the previous team did.
But here's the twist. Both of her parents are working against her because they don't want her working for S.H.I.E.L.D.
I got you. I mean, I still would stick with the S.H.I.E.L.D. route, but we don't even have a S.H.I.E.L.D. route, the S.H.I.E.L.D. anymore, do we?
Nope, we got Sword.
Jennifer says the character Ghost needs to be brought back too. I loved her and wanted more. Yeah, I guess more people love this movie than not. Like, for me, I just did not care for the Ghost character at all. But would you guys like to see Ghost come back?
Yes.
Yeah, they pulled her up.
Yeah, I would also like her sci-fi show to come back too, because that was amazing.
She was in a sci-fi show? I didn't know that.
Yeah, she came off a sci-fi show.
Oh, that's pretty cool. A
sci-fi show that has Iceman in it.
Wait, what show?
It
has Sean Astin, is that his name?
Yeah. Don't ask me what the name of it is. I just binged it. I just binged all 4 seasons one day and don't even know the name of the show. And it was amazing.
That's so funny. All right, guys. You know what? We're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic here. We've been on these topics for quite some time, so we're going to go ahead and jump on to it. We got 3 more for us to go ahead and dive into for you guys. We're going to change the pace here. We're going to get into some television talk, ladies and gentlemen, as Sony continues along here with their Spider-List universe, I guess you will. This was actually something that I thought we were probably going to be getting as a film, but it definitely shows that they're switching or changing trajectory here. This comes to us from Variety.com, letting us know that Silk, the Spider-Man character in Silk, is getting a live-action Marvel series currently in the works at Sony Pictures. It says Silk could soon be the next Marvel character to get her own television series. Variety has learned from sources. It says Variety has learned that Sony, which controls the rights to the Spider-Man universe, is developing a live-action series on Silk. Lauren Moon is currently in talks to write. Like Silk, Moon is Korean American. And then for Lauren Moon, her past credits include Freeform series Good Trouble and the Netflix series Atypical. Now, it does say here also that Phil Lord and Chris Miller are executive producing under their Lord and Miller production banner, alongside with former Sony Pictures head Amy Pascal. No network or streaming service is currently attached, but sources say that Amazon is in talks to acquire the project, along with other potential Marvel series based on characters Sony controls. I find this pretty interesting just because of the fact here that we are in fact getting a television series. It does say that it was reported in 2018 that they were in the early stages of potentially developing a Silk film. But later that same year, it was also reported that Sony was developing a female-led spin-off of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse that would potentially focus on Silk, Spider-Gwen, and Spider-Woman. So it does say here, it says the character Silk real name is Cindy Moon, a Korean-American classmate of Peter Parker's. She was first introduced in the comics in Amazing Spider-Man #1 back in 2014, and like Parker, she is bitten by a radioactive spider, which gives her the ability to move at incredible speed, shoot webs out of her fingertips, and possesses an advanced spider sense. And then they'll say Tiffany Epsinson played the character in 2017's film Spider-Man Homecoming. That's cool. I didn't even know that they had a Cindy Moon character in Homecoming. So that's pretty cool that they even put her in here. But yes, I do recall them trying to make this into a film, but I kind of appreciate the idea of them now switching it up into a television series. We do know that Phil Lord and Miller, they wind up having a huge deal with Sony, if I'm not mistaken. The idea of them being able to work on Spider-Man properties going forward. They have mentioned in the past too that they would be creating probably some television content, some live action stuff. And this seems to be one of the first projects that we're going to be getting out of Phil and Lord Miller's banner. So I'm really eager to see this. I think Amazon would be a really great spot for it, to be quite honest with you. And I think the idea of something live action in regards to the Spider-Man world is probably long overdue for a television series wise. So I'm glad they're going to be tackling this. Granted, it's not going to be a Spider-Man character, but I think that if you're going to make a television series, why not somebody like a Silk character? So let me go over to you here first, Stuart. What are your thoughts in regards to Silk potentially being a live action television series? Do you think Amazon is the best place for this? And do you like this better than as a TV series or a movie?
Like it better as a TV series than the movie. I think it's going to be awesome. It's awesome that they're doing a Silk TV series, and I think it's really incredible that that the two guys that worked on Into the Spider-Verse are still working on other future Spider-Man movies, because to me it really feels like they truly know Spider-Man. And I don't just mean like Peter Parker. I mean it truly feels like they know what it really means to be Spider-Man, no matter which version they go with. So yeah, I think the fact that they're staying on as producers for any future upcoming Spider-Man projects, I count me in, man. I'm excited. As for streaming services, personally, because I know HBO Max does this, is like what HBO Max will do is, even if they don't own a property, they can still buy it or buy the streaming rights for it for like, maybe only a small amount of time, or maybe they can sign exclusive contracts with them. I kind of wish they could do that with Disney Plus, because I think especially now with a lot of their live action Marvel shows being delayed, I think Disney could really benefit from other TV shows to really fill in that gap. So I kind of hope a deal is made between Sony and Disney to maybe to let Disney stream these TV shows, but who knows what's going to happen there. But yeah, if not Disney, then yeah, Amazon definitely makes sense as like a second choice if they're already in talks with them.
I mean, yeah, considering the fact that this is very much still technically a Marvel character, I guess you can say, like comic book wise. Yeah, I think that would be a really great option for Sony to try and work even further with Marvel, maybe somehow get it onto Disney Plus. So we'll definitely see. I wonder if it's a case of did they're very much like, you know what, Disney, look, you already got Spider-Man of ours. We're not trying to give you any more Spider-Man characters on your side. Okay, we definitely want to create someone for our own. So let's just put it on this streaming service way over here. So who knows? But I do like the idea of those Marvel characters at least being all in one solidified spot. Indy, let me come to you here real quick, man. What are your thoughts in regards to this Silk TV series? Are you excited from it coming from Phil and Lord? And do you think Amazon's a good spot for it?
As far as the TV series over the movie, I think the TV series is better because it will give better character development than you could just in a 2-hour, you know what I'm saying, movie. Or how's it go? And Cindy Moon is amazing, amazing character when it comes to everything she went through, being trained, being locked up, the people coming after her and everything like that. She's just a very interesting character. With that said, I feel like Amazon is the perfect place for it. Why? Because I feel like it's the perfect type of show to be on the air opposite of The Boys. So it's like every time The Boys goes off, you got Silk coming on. You know what I'm saying? And it's Amazon is putting out some great television, you know what I'm saying, content, some straight streaming content, and that could go right along with it and fit in that same world that, you know what I'm saying, they're building as far as what they're putting on content wise. Disney Plus is cool and all, but yo, like I said, I need my other shows first on there before they go, you know what I'm saying, be going anywhere else. So yeah, I think Amazon is a good choice for it. They're building themselves up as somewhere we can get premium content. So why not?
You know, I do like the idea of Silk being the character that they focus on. I feel like considering the fact that she is a classmate of Peter Parker. I believe you even mentioned to us once, Indy, that didn't she get bit by the same spider?
It's the same spider moments before the spider died. The only difference is her powers are a little bit better than what Peter is. Her being able to have organic webbing. She has a better spider sense. And the say behind that is because the radiation was in the spider for seconds longer than it was with Peter.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So, like for me, when I think about that, I feel like that's just a really great connection piece that you already have from a Peter Parker character, right? Like, and if you're going to bring anybody or spin anybody off into their television show, what best way to spin off a character that literally has sort of a direct connection to your main Spider-Man character? I think they could really play that up, the idea of her being bitten by the same spider, her being in the same class, or having been in the same class with Peter Parker, if you will. And then, like you said, the idea of her being trapped, locked up, having to escape, and sort of things like that. I do think that there's a really great story that they can go ahead and tell here with Cindy Moon, honestly. And yeah, I'd like the one thing that fascinates me really to all this, and this kind of goes off of what Stuart was mentioning, the fact that we're getting this from Phil and Lord Miller. You know, I mean, we've seen them do some really great work with like the Lego movie stuff, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, them having a deal now with Sony to kind of expand this world that this universe, the Spider-Verse, if you will, definitely makes me feel like if there is anybody that has their finger on the pulse, that understands just like that Spider-Man lore and history and fandom and knows how to have fun with it and tell compelling stories, it's definitely somebody like Phil Lord and Miller. Now, while they're not writing this series, make no mistake, them being executive producers means that they are very much hands-on with everything that's being created. And if they feel like they have a fantastic writer in this, in Lauren Moon, to go ahead and do this series, I think we have something really special here. So for me, bring it on, man, because I feel like they're going to do some really cool stuff, not only with this television series, but who knows, maybe it goes so far as to connecting it with other things, maybe with the movies, maybe with the animated Into the Spider-Verse. If they're in charge of this Spider-Man world in general, I definitely expect them to have some building blocks kind of put into place. And for me, this Silk live action television series, I think, is a really, really great start. I don't know what else they have in planned as far as television series wise. wise. I think some of the stuff that we've announced mostly, like Morbius and Venom, is mostly on the movie side of things. But I think this is a great way for a kickoff, at least a television series. Is there any other characters that you guys can think of, maybe off the top of your head, that you would like to see maybe get their own television series to kind of help continue to build up this Spider-Verse world on television? Is there any Spider-Man characters that really jump out to you guys?
Two in particular. Spider-Gwen, I definitely think there's a lot of potential for another Stargirl type high school superhero show, definitely. And then the other, just make it a cartoon. Don't make it live action, because that would just be terrible. I would love to see Spider-Ham spinoff show. Where it's just a Looney Tune style, just slapstick cartoon series. I'd love that.
I mean, we have those cartoon series on the air right now, right? So it feels like Spider-Ham would have a perfect. I mean, I know it wouldn't even maybe not necessarily be as vulgar as like Harley Quinn, but we have seen like adult or quirky like animated television series and things like that. I can easily see Spider-Ham being up there, being all corny and stuff. I could see it for sure, or hammy, as you will.
I'd like to see a Ben Reilly series.
Yes. Yeah, that would, you know how dope that would be? The idea of us following around a Peter Parker clone. Maybe he knows, maybe he's not aware of it. Dude, I would love to see that. It would be one giant mystery.
Yeah. I'd love a series of that, and having it end with having it be like the first few episodes, like we as the audience legit don't know what's going on, because the main character refers to him as Ben, but he treats himself like he's Spider-Man, and we as the audience are kind of confused by that. And then it's not until like maybe 3 or 4 episodes in that he learns, wait, I'm not actually the original Spider-Man. Like, I think that could make an amazing miniseries.
I think it could be something really cool. Get somebody that, I don't want to say like Noah, who's the guy that wrote Legion, like just somebody that can.
I don't need it that difficult to figure out what the hell's going on.
No, I just mean somebody that can really give you not necessarily a full mind bend, but can play up the idea of like clones and secret identities and keeping things secret. Like, I think there would be a really cool mental aspect to it that could really work. Yeah.
To this day, I'm still mind screwed from friggin' Legion. Like, Legion. I remember trying to review that, and I was like, I quit.
Great show, but for sure, yeah, definitely difficult, man.
Other than that, I agreeing with Stuart on the Spider-Gwen thing, except I would want it a team show. I really like the dynamic of Spider-Girl, Spider-Gwen, and Squirrel Girl. I love that the animated dynamic, that, and Squirrel Girl's just nobody ever being able to defeat her is just amazing to me.
Yeah, maybe that'll be one of the animated shows that gets spin off.
That's a question I got for the chat. Batman with all the prep time in the world against Squirrel Girl.
I don't even know that was Squirrel Girl's power. I didn't even know that anybody, like, people can't defeat Squirrel Girl.
She beats everybody.
Yeah, see, I got to get up on my Squirrel Girl knowledge then, for sure, man. But guys, listen, we definitely want to know your thoughts at the end of the day. We feel like we're pretty inspiring here. Some pretty inspiring news for what this means for the Spider-Verse, certainly going forward. But what are your thoughts? Do you like the concept and the idea of Silk getting her own live television shows? What are some of maybe your guys' expectations? And do you have any characters that you certainly would like to see from the Spider-Man world get their own television show also? It just says Deadpool and Harley Quinn team up would be balls to the walls. I mean, just granted their own style, like there's just their own characters together, it would be pretty bananas. I can't lie there. Yeah. But guys, definitely let us know your thoughts in regards to that article in the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen. And then we got 2 more topics here that we're going to go ahead and bring up. We're going to switch the pace here, get into some DC talk for you guys, ladies and gentlemen, because we do have some movies that are currently getting back into production finally, now that we had COVID-19 wind up hitting a lot of the things that a lot of the movies are trying to kind of get back on pace here in regards to their filming. And while we thought that the Batman was going to be smooth sailing for us, it literally just went in production again for a second time. it seems as though production has been postponed again. This comes to us from Deadline, letting us know that the Batman UK's production is currently halted after Robert Pattinson tests positive for the coronavirus. This is actually an update to its original article. It says, with filming on Matt Reeves' The Batman having resumed only 3 days ago after being paused for 5.5 months, the UK production at Warner Brothers has stopped again after one of the people on the production turned up positive with COVID-19. Now it says Deadline has confirmed that star Robert Pattinson is the member of the production team who tested positive for the virus. Now, it's not Deadpool that actually confirmed this. I believe it was Vanity Fair that came out with the article earlier to let everybody know that the person was, in fact, Robert Pattinson. It does say, though, that Warner Brothers this morning said about the situation that a member of the Batman production has tested positive and is in isolation in accordance with the established protocol. Filming is temporarily paused. No further information is provided by the studio in protecting their workers' privacy. But it does say that Vanity Fair was the first to report Pattinson's news Thursday, although Warner Brothers did not. Oh, where did it go? This advertising just pops up in here, man. It says Warner Brothers did not respond to requests for comments on whether Pattinson was the member of the Batman production or not, but they did say that some of their higher up sources were in fact confirming that it was Robert Pattinson. So, yeah, guys, 5.5 months of sitting and not having any production. Warner Brothers and other film executives and studios have been trying to put in and implement some sort of precautionary measures to keep everybody safe when it comes to set. But unfortunately, it does seem as though here Robert Pattinson did test positive. Now, the good news is they did say that they at least isolated him from everybody according to their procedures. And they have, in fact, sort of halted production again. So if anything, I'm assuming as long as we don't have other people coming up testing positive, I would assume that they would get back into testing yet again, hopefully, or not testing, filming here, hopefully again within the next 2 weeks at least. So a little bit of a bummer. I am glad that people are at least trying to be as safe as they possibly can, though, out there. Please, everybody, continue to follow their precautions out there, because this very much is still a global pandemic. Certainly don't get too comfortable out there, because we even have some of our stars that are going back into production. So I hope the rest of the Batman crew is certainly going to be safe. But Indy, let me come to you first here, man. What are your thoughts in regards to this? Robert Pattinson winds up contracting coronavirus. I guess is this, I don't even know what to say. Like, is this expected at this time? Do you think Warner Brothers could have done more? Do you think the idea of them catching that Robert Pattinson has it showcases that, hey, our procedures are working and we're doing things accordingly? What are your just thoughts overall in regards to this story?
Yo, man, they do not
Why
want
you got
us
Superman up there, man? We talk about Batman. Why you got Superman on that
Look,
background?
you said DC, and I guessed. That's
I
what
like
happened.
it. That's a badass. That's a badass
I
picture.
tried. It I feel like the world doesn't want us to have this movie. Like something's trying to keep us from having like the best Batman movie we ever had. Stopping production was probably the smartest thing to do, because you have to stop. Robert Pattinson has probably been around everybody, you know what I'm saying, on set. So instead of taking the possibility of spreading around more, stop, quarantine, get everybody checked, make sure everybody's cool, and you'll be all right. Because I think it's getting to the point where everybody is going to have this. Like, we're not going to, like, nobody is going to be safe from it. I just read the other day, matter of fact, he made an Instagram post about it. The Rock and his entire family contracted it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So that shows me no matter what type of health you're in, you know what I'm saying, he's in pristine shape, you know, it's not going to save you, which has me worried about our football, our NBA players, you know what I'm saying, everything like that, because the Rock can contract it, anybody can. And I'd rather them just be safe and sorry. Halt the production, get the movie done when you can get it done. We're still going to be here for it, you know. It's the difference between this and Black Widow. Black Widow's done. I need it now. I understand you're still filming. just take your time. But it does make you worry because they're on the other side of the world, like filming this, and they're still having these issues. This isn't even America, so it just puts in perspective how big of a pandemic this is, because we look at it through our tunnel vision. We see what's going on here, and we forget that it's a global pandemic and that everybody is dealing with this.
Yeah, and as many, like, I feel like even with as many stories as we hear of other people, other countries handling it better than we certainly are, we could easily see that there is still very much a risk overseas and other places as well in regards to this. I just says hope Rob certainly gets better. Yeah, me too, man. Me too. I mean, even, you know, Indy, you referenced the idea that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson got this. If you watch his IG post, he even talks about how it kicked his ass, you know, like how he was kind of struggling to kind of push through and stuff. Granted, his family seemingly is kind of like the worst is finally over and they're recovering from this. But I mean, goodness, to be able to knock Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson down a few pegs and make him feel absolutely miserable. Yeah, you know that this definitely is no joke whatsoever. So best wishes out to Rob Pattinson. Like, it's one of those things, like even if he does recover, again, you never know who he could have passed it on to. You don't know what the long lasting effects for somebody like a Robert Pattinson are going to be. So, you know, well wishes. This certainly affects everybody differently. So definitely well wishes goes out to Robert and the rest of the crew. But let me come to you, Stuart. What are your thoughts in regards to this particular article?
Yeah, this definitely came as a surprise to me, because I would have thought, like, with Warner Brothers and with, someone like Robert Pattinson, they'd be doing like everything they could to make sure he's like not getting into contact with too many people.
Like, he's your main star. He should be walking around in a hazmat suit.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, though, I am glad that they're taking these precautions. The one thing I just thought of, like, literally as you were reading this article, is I'm actually like kind of wondering if a possibility of how he got it might have been the fact that so you look at the actors, you look at the directors, if they catch COVID, what happens? The production shuts down, they have to isolate themselves for 2 weeks, and then production can continue, right? But when it comes to the film crew, what happens if a boom mic operator, for example, were to get COVID-19? They're replaceable. So one thing that kind of worries me about, just production in general is some people that might be working those levels of a film crew, like a boom mic operator. I can't remember the term for this, and I feel really dumb because I went to school for this, but when you're like, holding up the sheets that, reflect the lights and, help you
stuff.
Yeah. Like when you're doing that, that's another job you can easily be replaced by if you come down with COVID. More than likely after you recover after 2 weeks, they'll already have someone replacing you. You won't have a job waiting for you when you get back. So I wonder if that's one of the issues when if that's going to be an issue with film production, is you're going to have people coming into work sick because they don't want to lose their jobs. But in doing so, it's going to cause the entire set to shut down, because then you're going to be spreading it to people who the film cannot continue without.
Yeah, no, I think you make a great point. I didn't even consider that idea, right? Like, we focus so much on the idea of like the actual stars getting it, but what about the actual cast and crew? Or I should say the crew in general, because production is probably not gonna stop because they get sick, right? Like, if anything, probably bring somebody else in. But I get the idea here of at least why they certainly are shutting down. I mean, I think off the top of my head, I think I wanted to say that there were some stories already that were circulating out that said that, yeah, Robert Pattinson is in isolation, but they're still doing scenes like without Robert Pattinson in there. Like if there are shots that they certainly need that consists of not Robert Pattinson, or like they could use a body double, they might try and film. But I'm hearing now completely that no, that's not true, that they are in fact halting production altogether, which for me does make me feel a little bit safer. Like, it makes me feel like Warner Brothers is taking the necessary steps and the precaution, because again, you don't know everybody that Robert Pattinson came into contact, right? Like, if he's your main guy, and he has, say, 70% of the scenes in the movie, how many people does he come into contact with on a daily basis, right? I mean, so I get the idea that especially when your big star winds up getting it, everybody should probably be on lockdown after something like that. But for me, the one thing that I would ask is, one, I don't really fully know what Warner Brothers procedures are like, right? I mean, is it the case of, hey, we test you every day, we check your temperature when you come in, sort of thing? Like, I do want to do some more research in regards to that, but I'm just, for me, this puts into a bigger picture of just movie production in general going forward, right? Like, what are the safety procedures of these movie studios going forward? How safe certainly are there? I mean, again, some people would say this is the procedure working, right? Like, this is, we find out you got COVID, we isolate you, we halt production. Like, that seems like that's what their procedure is. I guess my biggest thing is, if everybody was isolating even prior to them beginning filming here, because that's what I was always under the impression. Everybody isolates and quarantines after 10 to 14 days, then everybody starts doing production. What happened with Robert here? Right? Like, did we not know? I mean, we started filming 3 days and all of a sudden now he's positive. I feel like he probably would have been noticeable like a week prior or whatever the case might be. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But the question I would have is, how deep do these safety procedures go? And is there anything else that they can do to make it even safer, right? I mean, Indy, you talked about the NFL. It makes you worried about the NFL and baseball. I mean, we've kind of seen that happen already, especially when it comes to baseball, that they had safety procedures, and then all of a sudden, a bunch of MLB players wind up contracting it. Now, the MLB is probably getting better about their testing, but when you look at something like NBA, they seemingly have a perfect way of handling everything, and a bubble where people are kind of kept there for months on end to kind of do their job. And one of the things that I kind of questioned was, when it comes to movie production, because I don't know how big a cast and a crew is on movies, my initial thought was, is it possible? Like, could you turn one of your production studios, or could you create a bubble for movie production? One of my movie friends, Cody Cannon, over on Twitter, he does study movies and filming, and he says that a cast can be anywhere between 500 to 1,000 people sort of working on a movie. So maybe the concept and the idea of a bubble may not necessarily work. I don't know where you would accommodate all those people to be like, hey, we rented out an entire block of a hotel, for you guys, to everybody stay in here, don't leave, we'll bring food services to you. I don't know if that's even something a movie production can do, but like, I feel like if they can't, they really should just go as far out of their way as possible to sort of protect their cast and crew. Now, I don't know if that's something that a movie production wants to do when they're already spending $150 million producing a movie. Do you want to spend more millions of dollars? I think it would probably benefit and make sense to me. But I just don't know the levels of what their movie production is. So that's more research I definitely have to do. But I would definitely urge movie theaters, not movie theaters, but movie production companies, after seeing what's happened to Robert, to maybe put a little bit more money, implement even things further if you can, to kind of maybe prevent something like this happening. I mean, who knows? Maybe this is Robert Pattinson. Maybe he's 1 out of 100, 1 out of 1,000, that actually will get it, showcasing that, yes, these procedures are working properly. But still, it's just one of those things, like, can we even at least avoid the one, or at least avoid your main star? You know what I mean? Where's the hazmat suit for this man? But we'll see though. What do you guys think?
I think it's really hard, especially in a hotel. If they create the sets like on the sound stage or something like that, maybe. But the fact that they're, filming in different parts of Europe and stuff like that, I think it's kind of hard to do. The other difference is that the NBA is an $8.76 billion entity. They have the money to do this. I don't think any film studios, especially with what's going on with COVID right now, can afford to house and feed that many people for however long it's going to take to film the movie. That's what's going to happen. And the NBA had no choice, because if they don't do it, they don't earn. You can shut down a movie and then pick it back up later. You see how hard the NBA is doing right now from shutting it down, and now they're playing like several games a day like half the league is in the semifinals. Some teams are still in the second round. You know what I'm saying? People are gonna be in the final. Like they're just moving, and they have to because people want to get back to their families. In a perfect world, yes. But then when it comes down to we're complaining about, and this isn't everybody, I'm talking about us as a people because majority of people are. We're complaining about paying $30 to stream a movie so that a company can get their money back. Yeah, they're not gonna put out more money on top of what they're already doing, not knowing if they're gonna get the money back.
Yeah, and that's what my biggest question was. Like, one, I don't know what their procedures are, and two, I don't even know if a movie company would be, or studio would be willing to add that kind of money, right? Like I said, you're already creating these movies for millions of dollars. Your movies aren't even coming out in movie theaters. You're really not making any income. The idea of putting more money forward probably isn't something that's even on their radar. But I got to think, like, just health wise, to make sure that you don't have these kind of hiccups, maybe you add a little bit more. But again, I don't, maybe their procedures, like I said, maybe this procedure of theirs is working just fine. But still, it's just worrisome when your main star winds up contracting it, is all.
One thing I think they probably should have done before getting back into production of this film, and maybe they did and we just didn't hear about it, probably start production on smaller projects first, like not necessarily independent films, but films that you weren't going to throw that much money into, and see how the production works with that. Like, try a few things out to try new safety procedures, see if they work. And then if they work, then try them on a bigger scale.
Yeah, I mean, you might be onto something there, instead of just jumping right back into sort of the big tentpole films. But we'll see, guys. We'll see what winds up happening here, man. I definitely, again, well wishes certainly out to Robert Pattinson that he certainly recovers from this. I mean, goodness, we've been waiting 5.5 months for this movie to get back into production. I think we can wait a little bit longer at this point. You know what I mean? But yeah, everybody out there in UK, please certainly take care of yourselves. But guys, we're going to go ahead and finish off this episode. We got one more topic that we're going to be breaking down for you guys. We're going to get into some DC television. That's right. Numero uno. One more to go, guys. This article comes to us. You know what? Let me stop this first. And I'll go ahead and pull up this other article. This actually comes to us from comicbook.com. We ended up recently, have been wondering when our production for some DC television shows, we're going to go back into production. And ladies and gentlemen, it's happening. It's happening. Batwoman showrunner teases the start of filming for season 2. This comes to us from Caroline Dries herself, the showrunner, letting us know on Twitter. It says right here, guys, tomorrow we start filming season 2 of Batwoman. I'm so proud to be a part of such a talented group of people. Break a leg, ladies and gentlemen. This was on September 2nd. So September 3rd, production for Batwoman wind up starting. I am kind of curious if this means all the DC television shows are now going to be back into production, if they've all started, or if at least maybe just Batwoman. But guys, man, right now we normally would be counting down at least like one more month to go before our series and our shows wind up sort of coming back, usually, because I think they usually come like September. I mean, like the beginning of October or so. So normally we would be prepping for our television shows to be returning, but unfortunately the fall schedule this year is going to be a little bit lackluster, and a lot of our series are going to be coming back at the beginning of January 2021. So Stuart, let me come to you first here, man. You hear news that DC television shows are in production again, specifically Batwoman. Does this get your juices flowing, man? Are you excited to hear this news?
Dude, I am. I'm excited to know that all my favorite DC shows are getting back into production, getting ready to start filming. I just hope they're really safe about it, because I really am hoping I'm wrong about this, but there's a deep part inside of me that just feels like there's going to be another delay that's going to be announced coming soon. Because right now I think they're all slated for January, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
I still feel like we're not going to get it until midsummer of next year. and I really want to be proven wrong about that. So I'm hoping they take all the right precautions, and not just for the sake of me as someone wanting to watch these shows, but also, you know, for the crew and cast sake. You know, I wouldn't want anything to happen to them either. So I'm hoping they're being safe about it. But yes, I'm really excited that all these shows are finally coming back, and I cannot wait. Also, I really hope that the moment I forgot her name, but the new actress puts on the Batwoman suit, I really hope they take a picture of it and post it on Twitter or Instagram.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah, Javicia Leslie. Yeah, I would love to see a shot of her. Hopefully, once production winds up coming up, that would be great great marketing to get people hyped, especially with production ramping up. But man, I gotta say, man, I've never wanted you to be more wrong, Stuart, in regards to these shows coming back in the summertime, man. Like, I know, please make it on time for these January release dates. But that's the world that we're living in right now. You never know, man. What about you, Indy? Now that you know that Batwoman at least is going to be technically is in front of the camera as we speak, what are your thoughts on the idea of them actually beginning production?
I'm worried. I come from a similar standpoint of what Stuart stands for. I'm not sure if it's the smart thing to do. It depends on what they're filming. You know, like it seems like this is going to be something where we'll have a lot more breaks this season. I feel like if they do it like this instead of just wait. I don't know if we want to wait till the summer, like Stuart said, and get our normal slate of how we get the episodes. Or is it going to be something where they film had to stop, maybe get episodes, and then we have to wait, you know what I'm saying, 3 weeks to get another episode type deal? I just want them to take the time to make sure that they can get everybody's stuff done healthy. I want everybody to be able to work, you know what I'm saying, healthy. I enjoy the entertainment that they bring to us, but I appreciate the actors, the producers, everybody behind the scenes and what they do. And I rather them be healthy than me get to see new TV.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there, man. We definitely want everybody at these productions to certainly do their part in protecting everybody and keeping everybody safe. You are right. Like for me, I don't know if this is like, I'm wondering if this is the absolute earliest that they could have started filming for this stuff. I mean, because September, October, November, December. I mean, you're talking about giving yourself 3 months of cushion to kind of film, put these episodes in the can, do post-production, add effects, add music, and have an episode ready to go by January. So you're giving yourself a 3-month cushion there. I'm almost wondering if they could have given themselves a 4-month cushion, like if it would have been just as safe to kind of go ahead and do this, or they feel like it's at its safest right now. Because I'm wondering if they're taking into consideration the idea of like, what happens if somebody does contract COVID? Then we got to take another 2-week break here. Are we going to have that amount of time to kind of rebound on that lost time to go ahead and have something ready for us for January? So, you know, I will say this. I think this is going to test, outside of clearly everybody's please stay healthy. That's definitely our main concern. I will be interested to see if we're just going to have a new format of television. You know, if going forward at least is going to be a case of like, hey guys, here's 3 new episodes back to back to back. Here's a 2-3 week hiatus with like filler stuff or extra content. And then boom, you know, a Batwoman returns, another 3 new episodes here or there type of thing, right? Like maybe we just don't get that very cohesive sort of season, you know, each and every week a brand new episode. Maybe it's something very similar to how they did with like not to get all Super Sentai on us, but like Kara Major, where, you know, they were filming the season, they had to shut down production, they filled at least a month of that time period with other stuff, and then they came back with brand new episodes. Like, I'm wondering if that's what the case is going to be like for some of our CW shows going forward, if production winds up having the hiccups that we maybe expect them to have, or that they certainly might have. So I'm hoping that as fans, the fans are patient and understanding that we don't live in the same times that we did last year. You know, that productions are being filmed completely differently, that productions may have to be halted and paused for a little bit, and maybe some of our episodes going forward may not be as cohesive or as straight lined as we certainly hope that they certainly would be. I mean, granted, at the end of the day, we all want everybody to, be healthy in this production to go off smoothly. But worst case scenario, you know what I mean, though? Got to always prepare for that.
Without a doubt, if COVID isn't like 100% under control by the time the crossover episodes happen, more than likely it'll be an even more downscale crossover than the ones we've come to expect, because they're already saying that this one is going to be pretty low key compared to Crisis on Infinite Earths, obviously, but if COVID isn't completely under control and you're putting two different crews together, more than likely they are probably going to have to limit it to just Batwoman and Superman. They're probably not going to be able to bring in too many other guest stars, which I think is the safest move. And I think hopefully fans will understand, especially because they just gave us like the biggest crossover last year. So hopefully, even if it means we have to go a whole year without a crossover, hopefully fans can understand that and still like enjoy the shows individually for what they are.
Yeah, man, I definitely agree with you there. I really hope that they are very understanding in regards to that. Adam, did you ever finish Batwoman? No, I have not finished Batwoman. It's on my HBO Max. I'm gonna go ahead and finish it off though before the season begins. Definitely don't worry about that. I usually always catch up just before the season winds up starting. I did just jump into The Boys as of yesterday, so I've been watching that. I was watching Lovecraft Country on HBO Max. I'm having difficulty getting into that series, but it is on HBO Max. So if I want to catch up to Batwoman, it's definitely there. So those are the two series I need to catch up on: The Flash and Batwoman for sure. But guys, we definitely want to know your thoughts in regards to production for a Batwoman continuing or beginning, I should say. I'm certainly thrilled. To me, again, I just hope that everybody's taking their necessary precautions when it comes to filming, and then hopefully come January, we'll definitely have all our shows back, guys. But we'll definitely keep you posted as things wind up developing further. But this, for me, this at least gets me excited knowing that our shows hopefully will be back sooner rather than later. So guys, let us know your thoughts in regards to this particular topic in the comment section box below. And with that, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for all of our stories here this week. If anything, we'll probably go ahead and finish off this week's episode taking your guys' live viewer questions or jumping into really just the comment section box below if you guys want to just do a free-for-all and just pick out some comments that kind of jumped out at you guys for sure. Well, Jessica Friedman did have a question, and this kind of just goes piggybacking off of what you were just talking about, Stuart, here. Is there going to be any Arrowverse crossovers besides Batwoman and Superman? Do you want to elaborate on that or talk on that a little bit more?
So originally what the plan is that the crossover was going to be in the Batwoman and Superman episodes, but I don't think it was meant to only be Batwoman and Superman. I think it was still meant to be like, bringing in all the other characters, not all of them, obviously, not making it that big, but bringing in at least the main character from all the other shows. So probably bringing in the Flash, and then hopefully if they were able to fly him up, hopefully bringing in Jefferson Pierce as well. I think it was supposed to be kind of like a mini Justice League type crossover event, but really scaled down compared to Crisis on Infinite Earths. But with everything currently going on with COVID, more than likely, I highly doubt they'd be willing to fly Jefferson Pierce up, because that would mean that Black Lightning would be on hold for 2 weeks because he'd have to isolate himself once he gets to Vancouver, along with the actual crossover event, and then flying back down, that's another 2 weeks that they'd have to put it on hold for. It's also why I don't think the Flash Stargirl crossover will happen this year too. Same exact reason. Both the Flash and the Stargirl would both have to hold production on their shows for a while. But yeah, like with the original plan, from what I understand, it was just going to be those two shows, but everyone was going to be involved.
Yeah, I'm hoping we get something, but I definitely understand the idea of them being smaller ones for sure. That's a lot of prep time going into it. It just says, did anyone see on YouTube and articles of Chadwick Boseman's memorial? The entire Black Panther cast are at his private memorials. Fans in South Carolina got to pay their respects. I did not see that. Did you guys get the opportunity to see that?
No.
No.
I didn't even know they were doing something like that for him.
No, didn't even get to do it. I was more still reeling from the fact of what we saw, what happened, and trying to keep up with all the other news that's going on that we cover and we try to do. That did happen like Gamescom week, so I was trying to cover all the video games and stuff like that was going on. So now I didn't get a chance to check it, but I appreciate him bringing it to light so we can actually go, check that out.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go ahead and check it out for sure. I think we had Reggie pop up in here briefly also. He did say hello. This comes from AJ. Says, I'm excited for the Batman, but I understand and they need to take their time during this pandemic. Movies can wait. Yes, movies certainly can wait. I mean, as much as I'm a huge fan, I definitely want them to be as safe as possible. So
we do have AJ, because I'm guessing he popped in later. He did ask who saw Mulan, and he said, I canceled Hulu and Disney Plus. A lot of people are like, why the hell have to pay $29.99 until it's free in December when you're paying $6.99 for their already monthly subscription?
See, well, listen, I Andy, this does go into, again, this goes into the mindset, I feel like, of people that want everything for free, like you said, right? I mean, granted, we're not paying, this isn't for free, but I mean, we are paying $6.99 a month, but there is like a misconception of like a theater makes the movies, they just give it to us. No, we still pay to see the movies, sort of thing, right? Like if it's a brand new blockbuster movie, just because I'm paying $6.99 doesn't mean I deserve to just get it handed to me. Like $6.99 is nothing compared to, like, it's that money doesn't go to paying the movie back. That movie goes to Disney's subscription. So you're not even paying for your ticket yet. But I just feel like that idea, I guess, is like people have a misconception of how movies maybe make their money, or don't have a full understanding. What do you think it is?
This is similar to the Xbox One DRM issue when Xbox first launched, and they were talking about how it was always gonna be online, but you'd be able to access it. It was the way they presented the information. Basically, what it is you can wait till December. You're paying for early access. The money from the early access is going to pay back the money used on the movie. That's film crew, that's actors, you know what I'm saying? That's everybody that worked on the movie. $29.99 for a $200 million movie. If you take a date to the movie, 9 times out of 10, you get a popcorn, 2 large drinks. Stuart can back me up on this because you know what I'm saying? You're most likely over $30. With the two movie tickets, the popcorn, and the 2 drinks. Imagine for Disney Plus, which is a family-oriented, you know what I'm saying, streaming service. Imagine taking your wife and 2 kids to the movies, and how much money you're out of your pocket. To me, I understand it's hard times, but I look at it as like a deal. Again, like we said, if this was a different movie, people might not have had an issue. But the fact that it was Mulan, and they were already having strikes against it because it wasn't what they originally remember as a kid. They were taking a different concept of stuff on it. People already had issues with it. They would just use this as a way to strike it down more. If this was Black Widow, if this was the Snyder Cut, if the Snyder Cut came to HBO Max and they said,
here's
early
my $30.
access,
here's my $30. I would have saved up ahead of time. Here's my $30.
Nobody would have had an issue. If you want to wait till December, wait till December. But there's plenty of people who understand what's going on and will pay the $29.99 in order to have the film early, watch it with their kids, knowing that people that are going through the same thing you're going through in COVID is helping to pay them and helping them out. If you ain't got it, you ain't got it. You don't want to do it. It'll be there in December. It's the same thing as people. It's the same thing as you getting a $1,500 check for Trump for nothing. Yeah, you're trying to help out. You know what I'm saying? And that's all it is. If you want to support the movie business, support the movie business. But understand they will gauge what's going on and see, like, all right, then they're just gonna have to wait on the movies. We're never going to send them to streaming services because they won't support them. So if there's got to be two years for a movie to come out, they're just gonna wait them 2 years. Then that's what's gonna happen.
And I think if people are out there saying, "Oh, give us Black Widow," well, support Mulan. You know, because if you support Mulan, maybe Disney will be like, you know what, this this model actually works. Let's go ahead and put out these movies a little bit earlier if we know that people are going to go ahead and support it. So if you want to see like again, I know that they said that this is certainly a one-off, but I really feel like if this movie is successful, they'll probably do it with another film down the road. It may not be Black Widow. It may not be another big one for a while, but who certainly knows? I think the possibilities are there. But for me, and we were just talking about this when we first started off, I get the idea of waiting around for December, but December's 3 months away, guys. That's a while to wait. So you want to tell me that again, and there are people out there that are like this that need to be included in things, right? That need to know what's going on. If they hear people talking or praising a movie, they've got to be a part of it too. They've got to know what people are talking about. So I think the idea of sitting back and saying, hey, I'm just going to wait till December sounds cool and all. But when people start seeing this movie and you start hearing your friends talk about it and you start going to websites and you hear them talking about it, you're thinking, damn, I got to wait till December to see this movie. God, I might want to actually see this just so I can be a part of the conversation, just so that I can give my opinions on this film and my thoughts on things. I can easily see people having their minds swayed. Yeah, the idea of waiting around to December is great, but I feel like at the price of not feeling included. I mean, I feel like some people want to be so included in things that they're probably willing to go ahead and pay that extra $30, honestly. So I'm hoping great word of mouth comes around. But again, I think it comes down to the idea of understanding the times that we live in and understanding that this $30 is truly going to help this movie out, especially the cast, the crew members and things like that, for all their hard work and their dedicated work, where I'm sure they would love to have their movie playing on the big screen, and because of the fact that they can't have their work showcased in the way that they want it to, maybe the least that we can do is spend a little bit more to see a movie that clearly they spent money to bring us. You know what I mean?
It's not just that. People are saying that $6.99. You know that $6.99 pays for several Disney Plus accounts because you can have 7 different people on your account. So $6.99 for 9 different families. You know what I'm saying? Your grandma might be paying for all of her kids, all of her grandkids for one Disney Plus account. And you look up there and there's several different icons to people, you know what I'm saying, they're up there. Because I know on mine alone, I have 5. So if I pay for Mulan, that's 5 different families that can watch Mulan.
Mm-hmm.
Like people forget about this. So I understand. I think the $29.99 on that part is bad. It's just like if we came together and decided that we wanted to share, we wanted to put in money for together, HBO Max, Disney Plus, Netflix, and Hulu, right? And then that way we can all watch and review everything we going. You know how much money we're saving? You know what I'm saying? Just off of that then you look at that $29.99 is nothing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I fully agree. But like on top of all of that, I want this movie to do financially well, even though it has like, not being released in theaters going against it. But mostly because like, unlike the other live action Disney remakes, this is a very different film. It's like, it feels like it's based on the same, legend of Mulan, but essentially the direction it takes with it, with the exception of a few nods here and there, it's completely different from the animated Mulan movie. So, and this is what I wish they would have done with Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin. I kind of wish they took their own completely unique, different direction with it, because whenever they try to copy the original beat for beat, all it really does for me is it makes me kind of not care about what's going on because I've already seen it. And then it also puts them at a disadvantage for the changes that they do make, because oftentimes the changes that they do end up making end up being like, wait, why would you keep all these aspects, but you would change this very important thing from the original? But with Mulan, the live action movie, what I loved about it is I didn't have to ever make that complaint about it. The whole movie was so different all the way through. I could just enjoy it as its own movie. And I really want Disney to know that this is the direction I personally would love them to go in. So this is why I personally don't mind paying for Mulan, because I'm like this is my way of telling Disney, no, this is where I want you to go with your live action remakes.
Well, it's a lot of people who
point.
are of the ethnicity that the lore from Mulan comes from that weren't fans of the original Mulans. They thought it was making fun of their culture and making light of, you know what I'm saying, a story that they hold dear to their heart. From my understanding and from all the interviews and everything that I watched and the details from the director and the producer, stuff like that, is that this was supposed to be more grounded into what the lore, the story of Mulan was, rather than trumping it up. Yeah, it's supposed to be more historically accurate than what the cartoon was. And you're seeing that fanfare come from a lot of people. The most I've been seeing people have problems with is the clothing, like the what do they call that, like the outfit choices and stuff like that, but they're pulling from two different historical times, you know what I'm saying, in order to, you know what I'm saying, put the movie together. That's what I get from it. And like Stuart said, that's how all live action remakes will get. We got Alec, who said either way, the live action will always have a dark cloud because they sacrifice the story for real world aesthetic. I don't feel like
I feel like the cartoon animated movie probably sacrificed the story. Yeah.
You might not have liked the faces that the lions had in the Lion King, but the way they told that story hit, you know what I'm saying? It for me, it hit a little bit harder in certain parts. The only problem I had with that was Mufasa dying, because you see that over animated, you know what I'm saying, sadness in the faces and stuff like that, but that's not what you get in the real world. People eyes don't bulge out and get that big when, you know what I'm saying, things happen. And plus, these are animals to start off with. You know, it's interesting to me what people complain about when it comes to stuff like this. And like Stuart said, for the first time, we got a different movie. It's something to actually go out and pay for. Why go out and pay for seeing the same thing over and over again? It's one of the reasons we talked about Batman. We talked about Uncle Ben dying all the time, or, you know what I'm saying, Batman watching his parent. We're tired of seeing that with all these other stories that are out there. We don't need reboots. We want live action originals. And technically, this Mulan is a live action original.
Yeah, because it feels separate from the actual cartoon film, huh?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I get nothing from, except for I'll make a man out of you, because there's no music, you know what I'm saying, there's no animated help, and then the cast is banging. The cast alone is enough to pay the $29.90. I'm like, if this was titled anything other than Mulan, everybody would be paying for it. But just for the fact it's titled Mulan, people are gonna have an issue with it because it's not what I had in my childhood. Well, sorry.
You might be right there, man. You might be right.
And me personally, even though I love the original Mulan movie, I'm glad it's not the same movie, because all I would have done is complained that, hey, I've already seen it. And then when they changed something about the original, I would have been like, oh, okay, so you keep this, but you don't but you change, you know, this very important thing about it. I don't have to do that though with this one.
Yeah.
Let's see here. AJ does have another question. He's got a couple questions, so I'm gonna pick and choose. We're not gonna do all these. How do you think or like to see in the Flash with Ralph and Sue? How do you think or like to see in the Flash with Ralph and Sue storyline? Well, we kind of talked about that last week in regards to how they're going to be clearly handling Ralph's departure, right? Sue is certainly going to be sticking around. It sounds like they're going to be wrapping up Ralph's storyline within one episode to begin it off with. He's clearly going to have a different face also, and then probably just branch off on him doing his own thing. I don't think we're ever going to be revisiting Ralph again after episode 1, but it does seem like Sue is going to be in there. So that's something that we talked about last week in one of their stories. He says, do you think that Superman and Lois will overshadow Supergirl if successful, or do you think it's an unnecessary show? What do you guys think in regards to that?
Unnecessary show,
as in, like, hey, we got two supers. This show, you know, I guess can the CW, can DC television handle two supers? And do you think that Superman and Lois will be so successful that it might overshadow Supergirl and sort of take away from that viewership, since it's been on the air for quite a few seasons?
No, I don't think it's going to be honest with you. You've always had two supers. You just probably didn't have Supergirl and Superman. You know what I'm saying? Like, if all these shows can coexist, easily. And to be honest with you, they can help prop each other up. It's probably better for Supergirl that Superman and Lois is on the air to give her different things to interact with, or because you have Superman on the air, you're able to give her bigger enemies to deal with than what she's dealt with. There could be a lot of layover. I mean, I just feel like in the end it's going to help Supergirl's ratings rather than hurt it.
I hope you're right, man.
I fully agree. I think that Superman also, just from the concepts of the show that we've seen so far, and even just the teaser alone, I don't think it's going to be like, the same type of show. I feel like tonally it's going to be very different. Like Supergirl is kind of more focused on like a very superhero aspect, but along with, friends as well. I feel like Superman is going for a straight up family show. Like the dynamic of all the characters are going to revolve around the Kent family. And I think that's where a lot of the show, how a lot of the show is going to be. And it's going to focus just as much on real life personal dramas as, fictional personal dramas as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you guys there.
Hold up. I got something I just want to touch on right quick. AJ says someone spoiled the Mulan movie for me, that the original voice actress had a cameo in the movie. Well, if you'd have paid the $29.99 and watched the early access, it would have been spoiled for you. So if you want to wait till December, those are the things you have to deal with, trying to avoid spoilers for something that you want to see.
Yeah, just because it's free now, people want to wait till December, but there's a lot of things that come into play with it. Now you gotta be ducking and dodging the internet. And I'm hoping that just the idea of a voice actress being revealed doesn't spoil an entire movie for you, man. Right. I'm really right. Like there's so much more to a movie than just one voice actor pops up that I like is in it. So I hope you still give the movie a shot.
That was a smart move by them, with her getting her Hollywood Walk of Fame thing. Or was that the Disney Hollywood Walk of Fame? She's been a prominent person in Disney alone. So them putting her, that was them showing tribute to her for everything she's done and giving her that cameo. She deserved that. So she probably deserved a little bit. She probably deserved a lot more than just that cameo. That was a great surprise to see that, because it shows me they appreciate the people who have put years into what they're doing.
If it was me, I would have had her play Mulan's mom.
I was thinking the same thing.
I just wanted to bounce this off of Alec real quick. He did say that basically what you guys are saying is exactly what he meant. So he's definitely, seems like everybody's kind of on the same page there.
That's why I elaborated on it. I understood what he was going for. I just wanted to explain it a little bit more.
Yeah, he definitely says that. You guys just definitely meant the same thing. And then this last one from AJ. This will be the last one. What do you guys think of Cobra Kai seasons 1 and 2? I love this series. It's awesome in my opinion. Can't wait for season 3. Have you guys dabbled into Cobra Kai at all?
I watched Cobra Kai 2 years ago. Almost.
When on YouTube?
On YouTube Premium, when I had to pay the $9.99 in order to see it early, and I'm done with it. I've been waiting on season 3 for like a year, bro. So enjoy
are you a fan? Did you like it?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of that. So yeah. I'm a huge. It was great. It was great put together. It's a great show. To be honest with you, the shows on YouTube Premium are very much slept on. They're actually really, really good. Between that, they got a Step Up, High Water. They got a bunch of comedy shows. Like they're actually all really well produced and really good.
I'll have to check that out then. What about you, Stuart? Have you checked it out?
I freaking loved Cobra Kai, man. Like that show was awesome. And it like not only it very much felt like an actual continuation of the Karate Kid, but it also, I love the very different direction it took with those characters. Definitely not the directions you would assume, based on the way they were portrayed in the first film. It's definitely not where you would have assumed they would have went in their adult lives, but like looking at it and looking at how it's done, it's all brilliant. And the new cast, of the younger kids that they got, kind of like for the passing the torch storyline, all of them are great. And what I like also is that it's really hard to say who's the good guy and who's the bad guy, because both of them are super flawed in this movie. Both of them have their own kind of personal issues, and I love it all the way through. It's an amazing show. Even if you weren't like the biggest fan of the original Karate Kid movie, I still would give this show a recommendation.
Yeah, I've yet to watch it. I have I did recently just rewatch The Karate Kid last week, honestly, because now that I saw that it was on Netflix, I do want to give it a shot. So I did just rewatch Karate Kid last week, so maybe I'll go ahead and dabble into it. But I just remember watching it a little bit. I was like, when it was the first episode, I only saw like the first episode, or maybe even just a trailer, like some clips or something. I was just thinking, like, man, Daniel's, I don't want to say he's like a douchebag, but he definitely like has turned into, he just feels like that used car salesman type. I don't know. He just, there's something about him that feels a little bit more confident, maybe some arrogance to him.
He was always the villain. He was always
like a Daniel.
like that. He stole the dude's girlfriend. Like he was always the villain.
No. They were separated, okay? They were separated, mind you. They were not together.
Separated does not mean not together. Separate. They were on a break. Watch Friends. Rachel says it all the time. You cheated on me. And what does Ross say? We were on a break.
Yeah, they were on a break.
I don't know. It didn't seem like they were on a break. It seemed like they were legit separated. Because
she didn't want anything to do with
so many videos about this exact thing. Everyone's saying that Daniel was always like the villain in Karate Kid 1. In fact, How I Met Your Mother does that exact thing where they have Barney like saying that, yeah, Johnny was always the true Karate Kid. But I don't know.
Nah, the villain is Johnny's ex-girlfriend. She's the villain to keep pursuing Daniel, knowing Daniel's getting his ass whooped every single time she's around him. I'm like, Daniel, why are you still talking to this girl? Every time you're around her, you see Johnny coming around, he's beating your ass, and you still hanging out. Come on, man. I think he even says it like, I must be crazy to still be hanging around with you.
Mr. Miyagi even tried to get him to stop. Like, you want to keep doing like.
Yeah, stop hanging around. I'm telling you, the girlfriend, man, the girlfriend's the true villain. Like, would you leave me alone, girl? You clearly still got problems with your ex-boyfriend. Go handle that before you come trying to talk to me.
I'll say this though, it's also like that's one of the things I love about Karate Kid. Looking at it, is that Daniel was flawed all the way from the start because Johnny's a douchebag, but Daniel keeps the flames going. He doesn't necessarily try to end the fight.
That's
ever.
True. He does keep pushing it. He does keep pushing it.
He keeps putting fuel into the fire. So it's kind of like one of those things. Like I'm not justifying Johnny at all. But I'm also gonna admit that,
but in the end, Johnny got everything he was supposed to get. He lost the girl, dojo closed. You know what I'm saying? He got everything he was supposed to get. And even though he went through hell, this is what's so interesting about this story. He went through hell and back, and nobody believes that somebody like him can change. That's the key point of the story. You can't change. You've always been that bully. You will always be that bully. You know what I'm saying? All he is trying to do is prove to people, I'm not that person I was before. It's this guy that had me like that. I just liked karate. That's the true heart of this story, is watching, especially again, it touches with the climate of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to learn how to forgive. No matter how bad somebody's done something to you, you have to be able to forgive. And you see Daniel go through trying to forgive. He tries, but it's like he's always looking for something to go wrong. And when it goes wrong, he's like, I knew it. And that's him being a prick. Like, I wanted to punch him in the face so many times watching this. Like, you root for Daniel to lose. And that is what's so good at this series, the straight role reversal. Adam, you'll start watching it, you won't stop.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it. I mean, I believe it. You guys, I might have to start watching it this weekend. There's another series to get in the way of me going back and revisiting Batwoman and then The Flash. That's just all I need. But no, I'm definitely going to go ahead and check it out, guys. So yeah, thank you for that reference, AJ. But yeah, I'll definitely go ahead and give Cobra Kai a shot. But other than that, guys, I think that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for us here today. I do want to ask you guys a question. Football starts next week, guys. Football starts next week. Can we commit to 11 o'clock a.m. Central Time?
I can.
APlus here report.
I can on days that I'm actually not going to be at a game, and that might change because they're only letting 2,500 fans into the stadium.
Oh, okay, okay,
So I
okay.
might not even
Let me
have a
know.
seat. Like my tickets might get refunded.
Then definitely let me know there. Definitely. I know that's early for you, Stuart. That's a good 9 o'clock in the morning, man. Are you? We'll figure this out.
Yeah,
I feel like
I'll do
we'll
it.
make
I just won't be happy about it.
we gotta get you a coffee maker, maybe
I
like an
like
IV full of some sort of energy
no
drink.
It just
angry.
means I need to go back into energy drinks again.
Yeah, angry Sleepy Stewart is hilarious on Hero Report.
All right, fellas. Well, hey, guys, since football time is starting next week, we like to try and at least get that hour advance ahead of time so we don't
I'm
miss
sorry.
too much of the game.
I'm sorry. Please block him from the chat. He just said go Eagles. Block him from the chat.
Oh, yeah. No, we're not having none of this UT line. Go Eagles. What is this shit? Nope. Sorry, banned for life. No, I'm just kidding, UT. I'm just kidding, UT. But just please don't bring that Eagle stuff up in here when you're talking to a Cowboys fan. You can't. Don't do that. Leave your fandom at home, man. Anyway, that's just Eagles fans, man. Oh, anyway. I'm sure he feels the same way about me, but that's okay. But yeah, so going forward, guys, APlus Hero Report, 11 a.m. Central Time for the holiday. He says, "Oh, I'm kidding, UT line. I'm not kidding though. I'm not
So he
kidding.
said, "Oh my bad, we was just joking." UT. As you go to the Facebook page, and it's going to be nothing but Eagles memes all over the Facebook page now.
Right. No, you're good, UT line. I promise you're good. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, hey, Indy, if people want to go ahead and reach out to you on social media, sir, where can they find you?
At Nerd Mix Alpha everywhere. Make sure to tune in. I just bought a new gimbal, so I'm gonna be posting a lot of content.
Oh, I was hoping you had your thing up there. My bad. And then Stuart, if people want to reach out to you on social media, where can they find you?
You guys can find me at TurboStew01 on Twitter, and you can also check out my old YouTube channel, Turbo Studios, where I know I've been saying this like the last 3 weeks, but I do have a short film, and I don't want to give too much away about it, but I can say this. I have actually made a lot of progress on it recently, and I'm hoping to have the majority of the shots done today. And yeah, I've gotten a lot of progress on it. There's a reason I'm keeping the title of it a secret, but once I finish it, I'll probably upload it on that channel, and I hope you guys all enjoy it.
What's up with that soundtrack, though?
Dude, okay, 2 things I need someone to help me with: sound mixing and a soundtrack. So if you're interested, I would love if you wanted to do the soundtrack for it.
I'm definitely interested.
Awesome.
Badass. Look at this collaboration, people. I absolutely love it. I love it. But hey, guys, listen, if you also want to follow us on social media, please go ahead and do so right here up at the top. APlus Opinions. We're clearly on Facebook, also Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch as well for you gamers as well. So definitely go ahead and follow us there. And if you love our content, guys, like this video, leave your comments so we can go ahead and further discuss some of these topics with you guys throughout the remainder of the week. But we will see you guys next week. So definitely go ahead and stay tuned. But other than that, guys, that'll do it for us here. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you're big football fans, enjoy football.
No, my bad.
All right, guys. Well, hey, other than that, guys, take care of yourselves. We'll see you guys later. So in the meantime, yeah, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. We'll talk to you guys later.